Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera Passions. I'm your regular host, LeTara, back again. You haven't seen her in a while, but she's back again. Our good friend, Lisa.
Hey! Oh, it's good to be back.
It's good to have you back. I've been trying to get you on for a while.
I know. Sometimes I just, I go into hiding when sometimes I just feel like I'm on a boat in the middle of a storm in Bermuda, just getting hammered by wave after wave after wave after.
Me too.
Sometimes I'm in a clam bake pit on Warlock Island, getting covered in dirt and sticks.
I just can't escape. I'm just too trapped in my life. Yeah, but those are very good analogies for life.
And I crawled out, and here I am.
Look at you! That's you. Basically, that's it. That's the podcast. That's it. You explain what happened this week. That's it. No, we watched episodes 551 through 555. Correct? Yes,
we did.
All right, we're on the same page because Maria and I were not quite on the same page last week. I felt so bad. Okay, so we are gonna jump right in, but before we do, I'm going to give a shout out to all of our patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe, Marcus, Brelyn, Lisa, Sid. Oh, Lisa, because there's two Lisas. Lisa, who's here today, Sid, Sarana, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Amanda, Monique, Samantha, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria, Greg Lopez Fitzgerald, our Lisa across the pond, and Jessica Jean and Laura. Thank you all so much for being patrons.
I love the Greg Lopez Fitzgerald. I love it so much.
I love that too.
Every time.
I didn't even know you could change your name like that on Patreon. I
kind of wish we had all had Passions monikers. You know what I mean?
Nope. Yeah. We weren't smart enough. Didn't think it through.
Sure. I mean, Greg nailed it.
Greg really nailed it. So thank you all for being patrons. If you would like to become a patron, feel free to go on over to patreon.com or patreon.com/Passions Podcast. Sign up for whatever tier you find most agreeable. I'm going to say we're going to have a Halloween party on Tuesday, but this episode's not going to come up until Wednesday, so it doesn't matter. If you see, you will have missed it by the time you see this. But we do a lot of fun stuff on the Patreon, so come and join us and have some fun. Yes. All right, this week, y'all, we are actually going to start with magic. What a treat.
Kibbles and bits.
Our kids on the island, Warlock Island, they're trapped. They're doomed. We're never getting off this island, Miguel.
But the way you're saying it isn't annoying enough. No, Miguel, we're never getting off the island.
We're never getting off this island.
No. You know who I could listen to all day are the Warlocks. So let's.
Could you? You know what they did? They were chanting in a very soothing way. It was almost like a meditation, a guided meditation.
All right, so let's Warlock Island.
Let's talk about it. So, we're on the island. Remember, Charity has been pulled into this cave, and the walls closed behind her. And so the kids are all looking for her, all except for Kay, who is like, if it be God's will.
Right. All of a sudden she finds her Standish roots and is like.
I love it personally. I'm sorry. I love everything Kay has done this week.
I'm not mad at it either. She's like, it's not my fault. She's bananas bonkers. And you know what? It's not.
It's not. She didn't do this. So
can we talk about the way that it was probably the least convincing acting I've seen on the show yet is the way that Charity got pulled into the cave with clearly nothing behind her, and the way she was like, ooh, and then you can't see that on anyone who's listening, but it was
most people watch. A lot of people
watch. So I was embarrassed for her, and then I was embarrassed that they played it again. It ended one episode and then started the next. It's the way she got pulled. They could have just had someone pulling her in, but no, they had her just Miguel, no, but clearly just turned and walked in. It was
well, it was weird to me that she was pulled into the cave. I don't know. It didn't seem that powerful, considering the Warlocks seem to have zero power whatsoever without Charity's help. So I don't understand how they could be powerful enough to drag her into the cave when she's allegedly the most powerful person on the island, right? She's the most powerful, but whatever. Yeah, she was dragged into this cave. So the kids are like searching for her. Miguel's mad at Reese for taking his eyes off of Charity. Why did you take your eyes off of her?
Such a dick to Reese.
Yeah.
Like yelling at him like it's his fault that his girlfriend's a lunatic.
Like, why weren't you with your girlfriend? Why weren't you keeping your eyes on her? Why would you leave Reese to do that?
She's not a toddler. Don't bring her camping. If you can't leave her for 2 seconds.
Well, and I mean, she was already in a trance and acting real crazy, and like at one point he thought she was dead. He literally thought she was dead. So why would you walk off from this girl that you love so much and leave Reese in charge of her? Reese of all people.
Because he thinks that the only people who can do anything are men. That's why, because he has to go look for help. He has to go find. The only people who can do anything on this show are men.
Well, he's a moron, and he's mad at Reese, and he's taking out his anger on Reese, even though it's misplaced because he should be mad at himself. He also questions Kay and is like, "Why were you even at camp, Kay? You were supposed to be out with us looking for someone." And Kay was like, "Well, I got scared and I came back to camp. Like, I didn't want to wander around the forest by myself." Fair. Right. Fair. Your plan was stupid, Miguel. Why did I say it like that? Your plan.
No, but I would love it if she talked like that.
Miguel.
Actually, you know who says it like that is Simone.
Does she really?
Actually, she kind of does. She goes,
Miguel.
You just want to be close to Miguel, like she does.
Like a Southern belle.
Kind of does.
Yeah. His plan was stupid, and so yeah, she was like, "I came back." I mean, she's lying, but she's like, "I came back because I was scared." I think that's fair.
It's fair.
So meanwhile, while the kids are all looking for Charity, she is being lured to these caves by the Warlocks, who are beckoning to her. "We are the Warlocks, Charity.
We are your friends."
So she asks, "Who are you?" And they respond, "We are the Warlocks." Okay. Go on. Yes,
she's
and
like, "Oh my God, of Warlock Island? Oh my God." Like,
we are the namesakes of this island.
Oh my God.
And then they promise to tell Charity all she wants to know if she helps them. They say, "You have to help us, Charity. Help free us." And she's scared to go into the cave. Smart. You shouldn't be there. But they continue to entice her, saying, "We'll tell you how to help your friends." And then Charity hears Miguel yelling out her name. And that kind of breaks her trance, because at this point, it's like she's in a half trance. She's able to kind of respond.
She's like me at 6:30 in the morning.
Right.
She's like, "What?" she's like, "Come in, Charity. We'll tell you the secrets." And she's like, "Why can't you tell me from here?" And I was like, "Oh, good question."
Yes.
So like, she's like me in the morning. Like, you just tell me from here.
Yeah, she is. She's in a fog, a haze.
But no, she snaps out of it, and that's when the wind suddenly, the sucking wind.
Yeah, because she hears Miguel yelling for her. He's like, "Charity, where are you, Charity?" And that's when she's like, "Miguel, I'm over." She breaks out of it and she yells to him. So he hears her voice and he runs towards her. But by the time he gets to her, she's been sucked into the cave and the walls have been closed up behind her. But part of her shirt gets embedded in the rock.
Betwixt the rocks.
So they can't find her even after hearing her voice. Miguel just starts flipping out. Like, he's so mad. He's like punching the air.
He's so angry. I just hate, you know what? I just hate the Lopez Fitzgeralds when they get angry. I hate them. I hate them so much.
I don't hate Theresa when she gets angry. I don't hate Pilar when she gets angry either.
No, I don't. No, but she's a Lopez.
No, she's a Lopez Fitzgerald.
I know, married. But she's when she gets angry, I like it because she busts out of her like pious, like, be a good girl situation.
She gets violent. And
she just
I love it.
Slapping hoes.
Yeah. She gets violent and I adore it. She's
But
slapping the shit out of Rebecca, body slamming that bitch into a pond.
right, clotheslining her.
Yeah,
The
like
best.
full on John Cena.
But Miguel, when Miguel is yelling, Charity, 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 wait, where's, and here's the thing that he said that made me like, I had to pause and like do one of those, is he says, how does a person just vanish into thin air? How does someone just, those are the words.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Where's the Bennett house?
Right.
Sorry,
I mean, and this is not the first time this has happened to Charity.
No, we have fully, at this point, I don't understand how they are incredulous about anything supernatural. Like any you're on a, first of all, you're on an island called Warlock Island. But also like your house, you were in hell, I think more than once. I don't even remember.
Yeah, Miguel was in hell more than once. He went
like
back.
He has like he's getting stamps for how often he's next time he goes, he gets a free sandwich or something. Yeah. A free muffin. He keeps going to hell and he's still like, but where is she? She couldn't have vanished. Yeah, yes, she actually could have. It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
When the show forgets itself.
Yeah. And Miguel's an idiot and he just thinks he's an idiot who thinks he's smart and understands things. He's so smart.
Because when I feel like Reese notices that the clothes are in the rock. I have the same water bottle, by the way, the exact same one.
I love it.
I have the same water bottle, and I also have a student in each class who reminds me to drink from it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
I will not hydrate.
I get that.
So Reese is like, Miguel, wait a minute, hold on. A piece of her shirt is here, and it looks like it's caught in between two rocks. And what does he says? He says something really annoying that makes me so mad. He goes, what difference does it make? I just want her back.
Yep. What difference does it make?
And he gets he's so tunnel visioned about finding her that he's not actually looking for clues about where she is. And he's trying to point out. And then Jessica's like, no, it is between the two rocks. Like I said, like she's trying to impress Reese. And then like if you fast forward either an episode or 30 minutes or whatever it is, all of a sudden Miguel's like, Reese is right. It isn't. I do believe it's in the rocks. And then he's like a dick to anyone who doesn't think that she's in the cave.
Yep.
I hate Miguel so much. I would never hang out with him or Charity. I don't understand why anyone wants to hang out with either one of them. They're the worst couple.
They are the worst.
If I was friends with either one of them and I was like, those friends that you have that you're like, not in like you're not crazy about, but you just have them because you've been friends for a long time. Like if one of them started dating the other, that would be like my out. I'd be like, oh my god, this is so great. You're so busy in your relationship.
Yeah, those friends you're not crazy about. I mean, it's true.
But that's the thing that you kind of drag them into your 20s. You know what I mean? That's like when you think that you still have to make everyone happy in your 20s, and then when you hit your 30s, you're like, no, I don't need, no, I don't like your husband. So I'll hang out with you when he's away. Otherwise, like you just don't want to hang out with people. You just want, your time is too precious to hang out with people you don't want to hang out with.
Yes, I 100% agree. They are the worst people.
The worst couple.
And yeah, you are absolutely right. I would never want to hang out with them. They are the friends that you might. No, I never would have been friends with them in high school. Like
I would never have.
I know.
I would have been annoyed if I showed up somewhere and I was like, all right, let's go. And then like going to a movie and then like Miguel and Charity are there, like in the group or like in the back of the car. I'd be like,
frankly, it wouldn't even be all about the fact that their personalities are as terrible as they are, because their personalities are terrible. But it would really be like, those two people are bad luck. Like, I'm not going anywhere with them. Everywhere they go, horrible things happen. And she's always yelling about how we're all doomed. No, thank you. No, thanks. I'll pass. But yeah, no, Miguel, first he yells at Reese for noticing her shirt in the rocks and tells him, who cares? I just want to find Charity. And then he's like, yeah, her shirt is embedded in the rocks. We need to split these rocks open and get inside. So then he asks Norma, who's like I'm sorry, y'all. And y'all know I've said this a couple of times. I'm sick of Norma. I'm sick of this shit. I am over it.
I hate Norma. I hate as soon as we found Norma the first time, I'm like, oh, we're gonna start the Norma shit because I hate it. But knowing where she ends up in many years and how her like personality switches and she's like a lot more playful and a lot like so like knowing where she's going and also now like as an adult admiring the performance of that like the commitment that this actor has given to Norma when she's like, oh, I have to talk to a skull in a baby Bjorn around
Yeah.
my like oh, and I have to give the skull a different voice and I'm walking around trying to kill like this old ass woman and this tiny child. Like the material she was given and how hard she commits, like I believe Norma.
Yeah, the performance is not my problem
No,
at
it's
all.
just I'm just so sick
It's
of
her
the
pre
character.
Yeah, it's her presence. It's what the part she plays in the story.
I know.
It's not the performance is great. She's doing what she's supposed to do. I believe it. It's
You're right.
unhinged.
I just
It
have
is
to focus on
unhinged.
I have to take myself out of it and be like, but look what a good job this I forget her name, but look at what a good job so and so is doing with this character who I cannot wait to get off the screen.
And she is doing a phenomenal job with the garbage she's been given to do. But
No, she's
so
no. I'm so
N
sick of it.
Norma's there, because Miguel has, like, brought her in on the search for charity, right? And so he then asks to use her hatchet, and he takes it from her and starts, like, banging on the rock with that
It's like
lady's
he's trying
hatchet.
to break it. It's like he first said we have to pry it open, which makes sense because now all of a sudden he's like a seismologist or like he's a scientist and he's like, I bet an earthquake like made these two things like the seismic shifts have like moved the two rocks together or something like. He's like, we got to pry them open, and then to pry them open, he's like, you hear dank, 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 dank,
Yeah,
dank,
he just
dank.
starts hitting it with the hatchet,
He
like,
just starts
hard.
hitting
He's
it
hitting it with this lady's tool.
with her tool, her only tool that she's been carrying around. Clearly, she's attached to it.
I so he takes it from her. She's like cool with the whole thing, honestly. More cool than I feel like she should be, considering she's a psycho murderer.
Right.
But her dad talks her down, I guess.
You know what? I think her dad is like the best dad in the show.
Ah! Ah!
Because I
Wait a
wrote it
minute.
down. I wrote it down because I was like, I like my inner childhood trauma was a little bit healed by like or like triggered or one of the two. She's like, Dad, I'm so like father, I'm so sorry I let you down. I didn't kill Tabby and Timmy. These are his words.
He's
I have
super
them.
supportive. He's like, you'll get them later.
No, he's like I believe he's like don't beat yourself up. What does he call her? Buttercup?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, don't beat yourself up. I know that you'll kill Tabby and Timmy when you have an opportunity. I have complete faith in you. And I was like, oh. He's like, don't be too hard on yourself. Yeah, I'm like, what? It's like the most supportive father figure. He's always there for her. I think he's the best dad. This skull.
He's very much always there for her. That's for
She's
sure.
got a great support system.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. You know what? That's hilarious because her dad is a skull.
Her dad's a
And
skull, but like the things he says are really kind.
he's still a better dad than Julian or
Still a
TC
better dad, right? An actual skull, still a better dad than Julian
or Sam.
or TC.
Sam's all right.
Sam's the best of the fleshed fathers.
Yeah. The bodies in the fathers in the flesh who are living and have their whole bodies and not just skulls. But yeah, she's taking everything in stride. Like she's chilling.
Right.
I'm not gonna talk much more about Norma after we've just done the Norma shit. Okay, she's there. She doesn't move for the entire week. So, meanwhile, Meanwhile, Simone is doing her thing with Kay, where she is being very like, Kay, you're pure. She calls her pure evil.
Pure evil.
It's just evil, Kay, pure evil. And listen, here's the thing. Simone lost all credibility with me last week when she didn't stop Kay from pouring water all over what their escape plan was like the pyre to build a fire. When she didn't stop that or say anything, say something, I was like, I'm really done with Simone's like whole holier than thou bullshit because you are not really about that life and you don't really believe these things,
She got it from her
obviously.
mama.
She get it from her mama. She and her dad actually. He's
Mm-hmm.
so shitty. So shitty. But so Simone is like laying into Kay multiple times throughout the week. She like
It's all she does. It's her own
walks
right.
away from Kay and comes back to Kay to tell her how horrible Kay is.
You know what you did. You just tried. You tricked everyone to walk away so you would lose Charity. And so you could get Miguel. He doesn't love you, Kay.
She tells Kay that if Charity dies, she says, if Charity dies, I'm not covering for you, and I will tell everyone what you did and why you did it. You're just pure evil, Kay. And then
why wait? Why don't tell everybody now if you're worried before she dies? Why don't you do something now before she dies, Simone?
And then Miguel is like so upset, right? And hitting that wall or whatever. And Simone says to Kay, see, look at how much pain you've caused Miguel. Like, that's not love. He loves Charity, not you.
Mm-hmm.
And Kay says, I'm not causing anything. I loved this. I'm not causing anything. It's not my fault that Charity is certifiable. Like, and I'm not my cousin's keeper.
Right.
I agree. She doesn't even like this girl. She barely even knows her.
She's made that very clear.
Everybody's talking about, well, she's your cousin. She's your cousin. She just met her.
She took her bedroom.
You know how many cousins? She took her bedroom. You know how many cousins I have that I do not know, and I certainly would not let come live in my house just because they were like, well, I'm your cousin on your mother's side. I don't give a fuck. I don't know you.
So move out of your bedroom.
Yeah.
As a teenager, which is like your domain, right? That's like the one place that you have in the world that's yours is your bedroom. So move out of your bedroom. I can't.
Yeah. So I'm with Kay 100% at this point. She has done some shady shit that I did not agree with, specifically keeping them stranded on the island. Like, that part of her whole thing has been very irritating to me because y'all need to get off this island. You have a better chance of figuring out how to get Miguel alone. You live with Miguel. You live with him. You can get him alone when y'all go home. Y'all live at the same place where Charity does not live. If I were Kay, I would want to be getting off of this island expeditiously.
Right.
As quickly as possible. You know,
let's get out of my stanky sleeping bag with no underwear on. Let's like adapt like a better plan.
That was so gross. I don't get it. And in a close quarters where everybody has a tent right next to each other, it's like, what do you think? How do you think this plan's gonna work out? How are you gonna have sex with Miguel without anybody finding out or knowing? I guess she doesn't care.
She doesn't care
if anybody finds out. I don't know.
She has terrible plans, but I am pro K at this point.
I'm pro K. I'm pro K. I loved everything she said this week. Multiple times she said that she's not Charity's keeper. She says it's not my fault that Charity's
called Simone out on, you didn't say anything, so leave me alone. Either call either call me out or don't, but like stop coming to me with you. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. Nothing you're going to say is going to stop. So either blow me out of the water or leave me alone. Get out of my face. Because the constant lecturing would save me repeated dialogue as a watcher.
I get that, but also if I was Kay, I also have to watch my step with Simone because she does know everything and she can blow me out of the water. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't, but I wouldn't want to.
I wouldn't slapped push her and she came back to you.
That's true. But I wouldn't want to push it. If I was Kay, I wouldn't want to push it. So anyway, let's talk about what's going on with Charity inside of these rocks. Please. She has like passed out inside of the cave. She's
for no reason.
Nope, we didn't see it happen. We don't know. She's just fainted. She's passed out and she's mumbling. Even in this bitch's sleep, we're all doomed. We're all doomed. And then the Warlocks, our Benjamin Franklin Warlocks, all appear around her.
Oh, I said it, the original cast of 1776.
Exactly.
With really bad psoriasis.
That's exactly who they are. They look so nasty, but yeah, they're all gathering around her, our ghostly Warlocks. And she starts to kind of come to, And the warlocks are saying to her, help us and we'll help you. Help us and then we'll help you so that your friends won't die. And then they say, first you'll help us and then you'll
You'll
die. So,
die.
but that's before she wakes up. So I guess she doesn't hear that portion
It
of
was
it.
before, like the whole time I like, cause she was asleep the way, like on her back flat, the way that nobody sleeps at, like arms down, like she was passed out on her back. How lucky. And like they're not just chanting it, they're like walking around her in a circle yelling this, which is like a terrible plan. Like I kind of just like, he's like, first you'll help us, then you'll die. First you'll help us, then you'll die. I wanted her to be like, I hear you. What was that? What was that about killing me? Oh, what?
Yeah,
No, he didn't say anything like that. Tom, did
they
you
just
say
kind
no?
of like
What?
marching around
Why?
her, like it almost reminded me of a game I used to play with my kids in class, where we used to sing this song called Sally Go Round the Sun, Sally Go Round the Moon, Sally Go Round the Chimney Tops every afternoon. Boom! And then you jump up and you turn around. Because that's what they were doing. They were like walking
That's what they
around
were
her and then
doing.
they would turn around and go
Sally
the
go
other
round.
way.
That's what they were playing. Sally go round.
And yeah, they were playing games with her. But so as they're chanting, first you'll help us and then you'll die,
Loudly.
she starts to glow. She starts to glow and then she starts to levitate. And then they chant as she starts to levitate, you will help us, Charity. You will help us achieve our ends. So at this point, this is when Charity like awakens and they lift her up so she's vertical, but she's still floating
and
in
floating.
the air. And she's still kind of in a trance. And she says, I will use my powers to help you. But then she says, if I help you, you have to help me. Warn Luis and Sheridan and Theresa that they're in danger. And the Warlocks say, it's too late for them, girl.
Bitch, they're done. They did.
They're all doomed. And then they break out.
Show her?
They show her on like a TV cloud. Like it's a floating.
That's correct. That's exactly
floating
right.
Screen type thing.
Right.
And they show her all that has happened in Bermuda. So they show the boat exploding. They show Theresa having already fucked Julian.
Right. Waking up in right.
It's done. And so then they tell her that they can help her save her friends if she helps them, and she agrees. So, because she still is like, well, what about us? I'm still seeing visions of us dead on this island. How can I help my friends? He's like, we can help you save your friends, but you have to help us. And we do this for a long time. Like they have multiple versions of this conversation.
Right.
Eventually,
I can't believe, by the way, her request is like, I'll help you, but first you have to help me warn my friends that they're in danger. If you're already interacting with magic, just be like, but first make sure my friends are safe. Be like, but first you have to find me a stamp so I can write a letter so I can warm them up. Like that's such a minute. That first, lend me a pen. So
I need a postcard.
so
I need to send them a postcard.
So I can warn them that they're in danger. Like, why don't you just?
Maybe she thought that they would be able to help her send like a psychic message to them. That would be cool if she could do that. Like,
oh my god, I wish.
Communicate with people psychically.
Rewrite her powers in a second.
Yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, I don't even know what she wanted them to help her do as far as like warning Sheridan, Luis, and Theresa, because even if she did, quote, warn them, they would not believe her. They never do.
Right.
You
Correct.
know? Like, even if she managed to get to them before they blew up on a boat, well, Sheridan might have. Sheridan might have been like, you know what? This girl said we're going to blow up on a boat. I don't want to go out on that boat anymore. Like, how did she even know we were going to go out on a boat? Sheridan probably would have listened. But then Luis would have
talked her out of it, and then Luis would and then right.
So either way, it wouldn't have worked. So anyway, these warlocks keep telling her, we'll help you as long as you help us. And so then she says, well, how? What do I need to do to help you? And they say, we've been trapped on this island and we need you to help free us. And she's like, okay, how? And they say, you must destroy the witch, Tabitha Lennox. Well, they don't say her name first. They show
we were
her
trapped here by a witch, and then they flash back to the camera that
Yeah,
that
and then they
existed.
show, like, what happened on their little TV cloud, and it's a it's a video of the Warlocks with their scepters, and they're, like,
Before their
walking
pariahs
around,
and for
and
pariahs.
Tabitha's got her bosom high, and she's, like, shimmying and shaking it for some reason.
Come at me, boys.
It was so bizarre. And so Charity looks at this and says, Tabitha Lennox is the witch that trapped you on this island? And they're like, yes, Tabitha Lennox. And they say the only way to free us is for you to destroy Tabitha Lennox. Charity doesn't really believe it. She's like, just ridiculous. She's like, Tabitha's a nice old lady.
I feel like if anyone else heard that, they'd be like, "Oh no, that tracks. Okay, no,
That
that makes sense. No, that makes sense. Okay."
Reese has been screaming it for over
Right.
a year that she was a witch. There's lots of circumstantial evidence to
For
prove it.
sure.
A lot of odd instances surrounding her. And now these warlocks are these like magical creatures are telling you straight out, but she doesn't believe it.
They showed her. Now, okay, I guess they could lie via vision. I guess, right? I mean, I guess they could lie via vision.
I don't know the rules. What are the rules? They don't have rules in
There's no
Passions.
rules. There's no rules. They could lie via TV visions, but well, they do actually, or do they, or don't they?
What happens later is that they start to show her visions of the future. I don't know, I don't know how well they can manipulate certain things, like, and maybe they can manipulate things that haven't happened yet, and they can
It's
fabricate
very
things.
Avengers multiverse for me. It gets very funky.
Yeah,
Like, is this what could happen, or what will happen, or
right.
what will happen if she doesn't help them?
Right. I think it's one of those things that when you okay, here's what I think the rules of the visions could possibly be is that when you get visions of the future, there's still time to change that future because we've seen where Charity has visions and we as viewers know that what she's seeing is likely to come true or could possibly come true, but something happens to shift and then it doesn't come true. But every time she's had a vision of things in the past, they have been absolutely true. So I feel like the things in the past are set in stone, obviously, but the things in the future are not set in stone. But if you continue on the path that you are on,
right, it's the most likely. It's the most likely predictable future.
Yeah, the Doctor Strange, like,
sure.
Yeah. So, they show her different things, but one of the things that she asks to see is her future because they show her like Theresa's future and that she's already doomed, and they show
that was funny the way they showed that. Actually, she's like like right, Theresa, like she's like at an armoire or something. I don't know what she said. She's like a makeup counter.
She's she's at Ivy's desk in Ivy's room.
And then but like she's like, oh, Theresa, oh, she's rich, oh, she married Ethan, that's great. And then like,
yeah, she's like, how is this bad for Theresa? This is everything she ever wanted.
And then like the hand, and Teresa's like looks unhappy at first and then fakes a smile, and she's like, whose hand was that? Like, yeah.
So they show her that future, and then she asks to see her own future with Miguel. She says, well, show me my future with Miguel. I know we'll be happy.
I like a little self-advocacy from
finally something interesting,
something interesting, right? As opposed to she's like this selfless like angel figure who's no, help my friends. Be like, no, show me my shit.
Yeah, that's because that's relatable.
Yeah,
that's relatable. Everything else about her is so unrelatable, but that's really show me my future with Miguel. Hell yeah. So they show her a vision of Miguel in a tuxedo coming into like a beautiful hotel room. And he's like, the ceremony was perfect. Our wedding was beautiful. You're the only woman I could ever love or see myself with. He sits down and and whoever he's talking to is in bed. And Charity is thinking, oh, this is amazing. This obviously is mine and Miguel's wedding night. Like, we're on our honeymoon. This is beautiful. Like, I knew things would be fine between us.
To set this up, she's like, show me my future with Miguel. And he's like, you're not going to like it. And she's like, but show me anyway. And he's like, you're not going to like, you don't want to see it. She's like, but show me. You don't want to see it. Like it goes back and forth. And then finally they're like, fine, we'll show you.
Yeah, and then they show
And
her
then they
this.
show them this, but it was like, they warned you, you're not gonna like this. And then as soon as she sees this, she's like, what? This is a beautiful honeymoon suite. What are you talking about? I love this. This is perfect. This is my honeymoon, Miguel. We're so happy. Like,
Obviously, it's
shut up,
neat.
shut up. You're like, it's not what it seems. I
Well,
want
of
them to be like,
course,
oh, she's so annoying.
of course, Miguel sits down on the bed, and the woman that he is talking to is Kay, and then they kiss. And Charity gets a little angry, it looks like to me. She's like, Kay. Because
Mhm.
I do believe that Charity has had some suspicions about Kay for a little while now, but she has not really voiced her suspicions
If
of Kay.
she hasn't, she's, I mean, how
She
many?
did the only thing she did do was she figured out that Kay didn't have her soul, and then she did start like um hardcore accusing her of not having a soul.
Yeah.
But other than that, as far as the things with Miguel, she really just kind of has brushed it off a lot.
Right, like kissing in the cabin,
And
it's
finding them together in bed, and but so she, that this has upset her. Meanwhile, we got to talk about Tabitha and Timmy.
Timmy's like,
Before Norma goes over to the kids, she unties Timmy.
Timmy's on a tree, tied up with
Yeah.
with a rag in his mouth, which he doesn't spit out for some reason. Like, I don't know why anyone just doesn't spit the rag out of their mouth.
I don't know, but she ties him up, or she unties him, and he tries to bribe her. This was cute. He tries to bribe her with Hidden Passions money. He's like, Tabby wrote a beautiful book that's gonna be a bestseller, and it's called Hidden Passions, and we're gonna have plenty of money, and we'll give you so much money if you just let us go. And she then tosses him in the pit, like,
Well,
good
first he goes,
try,
we'll
buddy.
split it 50-50. And she's like, no deal. And then I think, does he say 60-60?
He says 50-60.
50-60?
Yeah.
It was cute, and it wasn't worth me rewinding, but it was so adorable, right?
Because he's a doll and he doesn't know how numbers work, much like me.
Like
I'm a beautiful doll who doesn't know how numbers work.
No number sense. No, it was so cute. It was a 50-50.
So and that's when she gets pulled away by the kids to go search for Charity. And for some reason, Tabitha and Timmy don't scream for help.
They don't yell
while they're down in the pit. They wait until it's quiet to try and escape.
Correct.
Because they could start screaming, and then the kids will turn on Norma and be like, why is Tabitha down in that hole? We have to help her and get her out of the hole.
I have the exact same notes. And then like they wait, like, why don't they yell? Why don't they scream? They do not. Well, Tabitha could. And then as she leaves, she's like, I think she's gone. Like, if you can hear her walking away, then they could have heard you being like yelling for help.
Absolutely.
So
Timmy and Tabitha down in the pit, they share a really sweet moment. It was really lovely. I didn't write down any of the things that they said to each other, but they Tabitha held Timmy really close, and Timmy told her basically that he loved her and that he couldn't live. How do I live without you? I want to know. How do I live? It was kind of like that, basically.
I think she's, how do I leave? So how do I leave? It makes, she is, when Tabitha expresses sadness, it is so affecting. Like, Juliet Mills is so good at, she's so ridiculous, and she has the stupid scarf hanging down from half of her head, huge curl, but like when she holds him and like is comforting, calls him lad, like every time she's upset about something, I'm like, my heart hurts a little bit.
A tear came to my eye. I started to like,
that's a 3 drinker in my drinking. Yeah.
My nose started to get a little tingly. I started to get a little teary-eyed. It was really sweet. Again, not sweet enough for me to go back, rewind, and write down what they said
but
to
she's
each
so
other.
affecting every time she's upset. Like, I feel it in my heart. Like, I'm like, oh.
she's an excellent actress. Some people
So
are great soap opera actors.
right.
Juliet Mills I think, can actually do anything. I think she could probably do well on stage, on film, in soap operas, on regular TV shows. I think she's legitimately a great actress. Some of the people on this show, though not necessarily bad actors, are very good soap opera actors. They
Agree.
belong in this genre, if that
Right.
makes sense. I'm not going to name
It does.
names, but some of these people belong on soap operas and nowhere else.
And nowhere else.
So
And maybe even belong on this soap opera and nowhere else.
specifically, yeah. So they have a sweet moment, and then they try to find a way to escape. So Tabitha's like scratching at the walls, and Tammy's like digging, looking for, I don't know, they're just digging for
To
no
find a path,
specific
to find a
reason.
path, right? Instead of climbing out, they're like
Trying to
they're
crawl.
like dig a tunnel.
Yeah, I don't know, but while they're digging around in this dirt, Timmy finds one of those Warlock scepters, which cracked me up because, like, of course, it's right here. He finds one of those Warlock scepters and he starts like playing around with it like it was like a lightsaber. And Tabitha notices because she has her back to him at first, and then she sees it and she gets terrified. She's like, "Oh my God, put that down! It is not a toy, and you're not Zorro," is what she said. It's not a toy, and you're not Zorro. I can't do a Tabitha. Let me see. Put that down. Wait. Put that down. It's not a toy and you're not Zorro. That's not bad. That's not the worst I've ever done. It's not the worst I've ever done.
Tabitha gets easier if you exhale all your air first and then you start like you got like put that down. You're not Zorro.
You're not Zorro, and you're right. That works.
You have to empty your lungs a lot, like empty your lungs and then squeeze out whatever dialogue you can. And
it's not a toy, and you're not Zorro. Okay, all right, okay. Timmy then tells her this has to be the key to getting us out of here. I'm with Timmy on this. Like, let's try this magical tool for a while. You know what I mean? It's probably better than scratching at the walls with our fingernails.
She poo-poos it so quickly.
Well, and honestly, Timmy doesn't know the power, but apparently it's very powerful and could destroy. She says that thing's not a toy; it could destroy the entire island. Like if it falls into the wrong hands.
Yeah, but like, what do we care? We're dead anyway. So like, let's.
That's true.
Like,
Timmy thinks he's like, the scepter is our way out of the pit. Please, Tabitha, come on, you gotta try. But
big girl.
Tabitha keeps saying like, no, she's scared. She's scared to even touch it. She says it might, if I touch it, it might explode. I might be destroyed instantly just by touching it. And they do this for a while. Eventually she grabs it and nothing happens. So she's like, oh, Tim, okay, it didn't destroy me immediately. So, and then listen, they both say so many enchantments in these episodes. And at first I was writing them all down, and then I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore. But the very first one she does is, I'm gonna blow out my air and see if I can do a good Tabitha. You ready?
But
Goggle and ghoul, weasel and mole, free Timmy and Tabby from this hellish hole.
That's great. That's great.
But then nothing happens.
Nothing.
And she like gets, she's like, this is not gonna work. And Timmy's like, no, try again. Don't give up. Don't give up. He's like cheering her on. And so she tries again. Okay. She goes, weapon of old, scepter of pain, let Timmy and Tabby see home once again. It's good. Your little trick is helping.
Thank you.
And again, it doesn't work. And and this makes Tabitha feels a little defeated. But Timmy convinces her again, and this is the last one I wrote down. Timmy, because it was the funniest one.
Is it the kibble one?
Yes, it is. convinces her again, and so she tries it one more time. Powers of evil, kibbles and bits, spare us our lives, get us out of the pit. And then a lot of wind starts to blow in this pit. Like something happens, and we're like, okay, something's working. It's working. But then it stops. Nothing's working anymore. It quickly ends. Tabitha tries some more enchant. This is when I gave up. She tries a few more. None of them work. She thinks, that thing's out. I think at one point she says it's like out of battery power. Like it's useless.
Right.
And so she throws it back on the ground. Now you just told us.
How are we supposed to believe
that this thing could destroy the island if we didn't treat it carefully? Like it's a fragile piece of magical equipment, and that it's very volatile, and you just threw it on the ground. But that's what she did. She throws it to the ground, and she goes back to clawing at the walls. She goes back to clawing at the walls to try and dig a tunnel, I guess. And then it starts to glow red. But she doesn't see it at first. But then when she does, it terrifies her. She's terrified. And she says it's very dangerous, and she worries about the Warlocks. She's like, if something about the Warlocks will destroy me. Like, do they have any power? Why is she so scared of the Warlocks?
I don't know. You put them here. You stuck them here, and like you have their shit. So like, why? What does your mug say?
It says a balanced diet is a cake in each hand. My ex-boyfriend's mom gave me this. Let me be clear. And Jackie, if you're listening, Jackie gave the best like gifts and shit. And she gave me another mug that I love. The other one that I use all the time, she gave me that one. She gave me so many like little things that I still use and love and think about her fondly every time I use them. But Jackie. I was like, Jackie knows me. This is very on brand.
It means so much to me when someone gives me a gift that is very me. Like, so like sometimes a student will give me something and I'll be like, why do you know me better than the people who I've been friends with since I've, been like, me, you nailed it. Thank you so much. Like I feel seen.
It's especially heartwarming when it comes from your students, because it's like, oh, you really know, like you really care about me. Which is,
you've been watching.
Yeah, like I don't know, it's really sweet. But yeah, that's what my mug says. Where are we?
Kibbles. Well, so kibbles and bits. Then she threw it. She gave up, and then it started to glow. And then she's afraid of it again. So we have to like do this again, where she's afraid of it again, and then she doesn't want to touch it again.
She's scared of it. So then Timmy tries it. He picks it up, and he says some different things, several that don't work.
I guess you can just rhyme. That's it.
I guess so. That's all that magic is if Dr. Seuss must have been a very powerful warlock.
Truly.
I mean, that man was the king of rhyming.
But you know what? All of her rhymes don't work. It's her near rhyme that works when she's like, kibbles and bits, get us out of this pit. Like it doesn't. I want to be like, kibbles and bits, give me firm perky tits, and then we're like. Great, now we can't get out of the pit, but we're like,
but look at my tits. But look at these. Yeah, she's like, I'm back to the 18 whatever year it was, like the 1770s.
I'm back, lad. I'm back, Tim.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so Timmy says an enchantment, which I wish I had written down, but I didn't.
I didn't either. You're always so good at writing them down, so I just didn't bother. Sorry.
Whatever. It was something about open this rock, and when he said that, a bolt of lightning shot out of it and shot right over to where Miguel is hitting the rock and opens it up.
Correct.
And the kids go inside. So I guess Miguel thinks that he did that.
Yeah, he really does. He really thinks he did something, which is like the most annoying part about this, because he's going to take credit for opening this stupid rock by smashing this axe against it.
Yeah, but so Timmy manages to get Charity out, and I want to make this note: the entire time they're down in this pit, Timmy is talking about how much he wants to save Charity. So right. I think the scepter did what was in his heart. Like he wants to get out of
Okay.
the pit, but the reason he wants to get out of the pit is so that he can save Charity. He's talking about it constantly while they're down there. So part of
But
me
he did
thinks
say
that that's
open this rock,
yeah, and he did say open. Which why would he say that?
which didn't apply to
Because he doesn't know
different.
that Charity's stuck in those rocks. They
No,
don't
he
know anything
doesn't.
about what's going on with Charity besides the fact that she's lost. So yeah, I don't know. But the kids go in, and that's all for that. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm excited for what's coming for Charity, because this is, I think, some of Molly's best acting, what they give her, because um
Is
I'm
this
I
when she becomes like a zombie or something?
it's they call her zombie Charity, but it just means bitchy Charity, which is,
Okay.
so that's really what we finally, because like, I don't know why they call her zombie Charity, because why they want to make sure that we know it's not real
Real
Charity.
Charity.
But this fake Charity is such a bitch. And like, you can just tell that Molly finally is like, all right,
Okay,
like,
bitches.
right, now I can, you're like, oh, you think I'm so good? Watch this. And like, she really becomes like
Well, good. Cause
enjoyable to watch.
I did like some of the evil pendant stuff that she did.
Yes. Yeah, no, this
It
is
was
even more fun. There's a moment I kind of like there's one episode I would love to watch with you. I kind of want to fast forward and find out when it is, and then claim those group of episodes to a
well,
group of
you
podcasts,
figure it out and let me know. Figure it out and
because
let me
there's a
know.
moment that I want to react to with you, because I know it's coming and I'm so excited for it.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on to troubled marriages, y'all.
Troubled
Everybody's
marriages.
least favorite storyline. I am sick of Grace.
I'm sick of Grace. I hate David's voice. I hate it. I don't know why. I'm like, I usually love a man with an accent, but for some reason, I hate David's voice. I hate it.
It's because of the stuff he's saying. It's the way he talks. It's
Oh,
his inflection. It's his like sense of entitlement. It's his I don't like David. And you know what? Take Grace. Go ahead. Take her.
take
Go.
her.
But
Bye.
both of y'all have to leave Harmony tonight.
Like, I feel even Sam would be like, if this is even like a thought for you, bye.
I know.
Bye. Like, if this is really hard for you, then I don't mean to you what I thought I did. So goodbye.
Yep. And you know what? We're gonna get there because I have like thoughts on it as far as like my own personal feelings of how I would feel in the situation. And so we'll talk about it, but
Okay.
let's run down what happens very quickly. Father Mike remembers everything. Where is Father Lonigan? This is his fucking church.
Right. Where is he?
Where
Suspicious.
are you?
Suspicious.
Suspicious. No,
I like to think that he's like smoking weed from like out back, like talking to like somewhere medicinal marijuana, right? He's just like hiding. He's like, oh, my eyes. Like,
yeah, it's for my eyes.
It's medicinal.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Moving on.
Honestly, I would need something if I were Father Lonigan to cope with all the shit that these people have put him through, all the garbage that they have laid at his feet.
Fuck him. No, fuck him. No, fuck him. Because you know why? That man, and I will never forgive Father Lonigan for this, because during Theresa and Ethan's dumbass double wedding,
yes,
when Gwen gets up on the altar in
You're
front
right.
of God with him, and like she's standing up on the altar.
You're right.
And lying through her teeth, and he knows it. He knows she's lying, and he just lets her do it.
You're right.
Nah,
You're right.
No,
fuck
him. He can go straight to
to hell. Straight to the closet.
Right to hell, buddy. Yeah, straight to Charity's closet. So, anyway, I don't, and on top of that, he's neglecting his duties. Where the fuck are you? Where are you? He should be there counseling Sam and Grace in this situation. They're your parishioners.
It's really conspicuous. I don't know. I mean, look, I imagine that being like the showrunner of a soap opera is really kind of a nightmare. You have to kind of jigsaw everything together and give people time off. But like the way they edit these episodes together, first of all, it feels like they hit like copy paste, like they give a 12-year-old like hit copy paste a bunch of times and we'll run it. That's good enough. But then like you really start to be like, hey, where the fuck is insert name here? Like they really don't really make it they don't
Yeah.
space it out, so like you really feel their absence. Like when's the last time we saw TC?
Yeah.
Like,
And then when you see them again, you're like, oh my God, I
oh my God.
forgot you even
And they usually have
existed.
different hair, right?
Yeah.
Like especially Eve. Every time she comes back, they give her a different week. That poor woman.
Her wigs are getting better, I will
They
say.
they will get worse, I think. And then they'll come full circle.
Her wigs are getting better. I liked her hair this week.
Yes,
And
no,
I
she looked
like
great.
having Eve around this week, even though Eve is a villain, and we are about to get into it.
Yes, she is a villain. Good. Let's talk about it.
So
Okay.
Father Mike, we pick up where Father Mike is remembering the details of Grace and David's wedding, and he says that she was upset because her sister couldn't come to the wedding, which begs the question, why? Why wasn't Faith at your wedding? Everything surrounding this wedding is so suspicious to me. No, you don't have any witnesses. It's just you and David, and your sister didn't even come.
Right.
That's
Why isn't she asking questions? That's what I'm really getting pissed off at both Sam and Grace.
Yeah.
Like, just be like, where was she? Who was my maid of honor? Who was my witness? Can you tell me,
Who were
like,
our witnesses?
what was
Yeah.
the weather like that day? And then go fact check. Like, just ask something.
Okay. Yes. Let's keep going. So Sam is still not buying the whole thing, even though this was his plan from the beginning. He was the one who decided, well, and I think Maria said it last week. She was like, the goalpost keeps moving for Sam. Because it was like when Father Mike didn't remember, it was like, all right, that's it. All the other evidence be damned. This is the true evidence that matters. But now that Father Mike does remember, he's being manipulated. Like, no, this was your idea in the first place. You're the one who felt like if Father Mike, this priest who apparently is infallible, if he remembers, then that's that. So that was your plan. But now Sam is backtracking on that, and he feels like, no, this is still bullshit. I don't know how he managed it, but he's manipulated Father Mike, and Father Mike's like, nah, I remember. And then Sam says Grace would never, this was wild. Grace would never forget something so important as taking wedding vows in a church under the eyes of God. She would remember taking vows. It's that important.
Church is too important.
Church is so important. Grace agrees with him and says, yeah, no, I would never forget that. Bitch, you don't even remember your own sister. You don't remember your mother. You don't remember your child. Other important things in your life. You don't remember any of it. You don't remember graduating from high school. You don't remember your first communion. That's important, right?
Literally what I wrote down. It's like why like the arrogance to think that amnesia only affects the things that aren't important to you. Like, why would like also like Grace, like church is too important. So she doesn't, so like obviously she remembers her baptism and her first communion and her confirmation, like all of those things she must remember because they happened in a church. Oh no, she doesn't remember those either because she has a medical condition. Like, it made me so mad.
I was shocked by this by this dialogue, because the fact that Sam says that, fine, he's grasping at straws and he's already made himself so ridiculous that whatever. But the fact that Grace was like, yeah, I would remember. Girl, you don't remember anything, bitch. You barely be remembering your breakfast. I
can't stand her. I can't
deal with Grace.
I hate her because she's always like, no, Sam's right. I would remember, like this, like sad, like she's like this wilting flower, this helpless. She's always about like on the verge of tears.
So at this point, Sam once again asks Lord Jesus, asks Grace to tell David to leave. He begs her.
By the way, David is cuffed this whole time.
Yes, David
is. He has handcuffs on.
David is still under arrest.
In a church, he is still handcuffed throughout this whole conversation.
David is still technically under arrest. I think did he read him his rights last week or did he do it this week? I don't know. But I think it was last week. He read him his rights. But yeah, so he's still cuffed for kidnapping Grace, and I said it last week, but I'm going to repeat it because it has come up. But the fact that David was out and about free anyway, is ridiculous because the kidnap is a kidnap, regardless of who she's married to. Like, she was kidnapped regardless.
Correct.
And Sam is a terrible police
Terrible.
officer and should not be the chief of police. But anyway, so Sam is begging Grace to tell David to leave. Let's move on from this. Let's get past this. And then Eve comes in and has this idea, because her and Hank are there the entire time. Also, Ivy and Pilar like at the back of the church listening in the entire time. But Hank
Ivy is holding this bouquet of flowers the entire time, and it's ridiculous looking. Also, she's dressed like Hillary Clinton and has the highest ponytail I've ever seen in my life.
Well, she has that. Ivy's hair looks not great because the front is cute, but the back is so weird. It's like this giant, I don't know, like a giant roll, it's
because she like
it's like an armadillo.
Yes,
in the back.
She put it so high and then like curved it back, but like also she's in like a pantsuit.
Yeah, I liked the suit. It was like a salmon color. It's like pinkish.
Yeah.
She was cute. She looks cute in that. But Pilar looks stunning. Like her hair was really pretty, and she had a nice beautiful purple dress.
She's so lovely looking all the time.
She looked great. But Eve is a villain. Everybody, Eve.
No, she sucks.
I've been saying it since she set Orville's house on fire. She's a villain.
You mean, and ran him over?
And hit him with her car. Since she hit him with her car and we never brought it up again. She's a fucking villain. This lady who is
and didn't like Chad because he was black, pretty much, essentially. Yeah. Remember when she didn't like Chad because he was black? Because he looked Chad like
he was from the street. He's a street kid who she didn't like Chad because he didn't know who his parents are.
Right.
Because he's a fucking orphan. And then proceeded to call him every classist, racist fucking thing she possibly could to him outside of and then only after he took a fucking bullet for her was she even okay with entertaining the idea of him being friends with her daughters. Yeah, no, Eve's a villain.
No, she's a bitch. She's the worst.
And here's her latest villainous plot. She says, I have an idea to help trigger Grace's memory. As if she's a psychiatrist. Like she doesn't know. Girl, you are a general practitioner. Anyway, she says, we need to recreate the wedding. Huh? Yes, they need to do a reenactment of their wedding vows because, like David said, this is a church very much like the church they got married in. That Father Mike is here, and he's the person who married them. Both of these two people the two people who got married are here. So if they reenact it, maybe it will trigger a memory for Grace. What?
And Sam is all in immediately.
Yeah,
he's all in immediately. He's like, do it. I think you should do it. And then I wrote this down. He says to David, I forgot his stupid name for a second. He goes, what's the matter, David? Are you afraid that Grace will remember that she was never married to you? How do you remember that something never happened? How do you, I remember now that I never had green grapes. Like, how do you wouldn't remember that?
You would not.
I hate him so much.
You would not remember it.
The fact that Sam thinks it's a good idea proves that it's a shitty idea.
It's a bad idea. It's poorly conceived, but Eve is all about it. Sam's all about it. Grace is a little like, are you sure?
Ooh.
And so then I think this is when they take the handcuffs off of David. This is the point where they release him from his shackles. Shackles on my feet so I can dance.
What is that?
You never heard that? It's a song by Mary Mary called Shackles. Oh my God, it was like huge in the year 2000, 2001, somewhere around there.
I'm gonna write it down.
It's like a gospel song.
I'm writing down Shackles.
Praise him. I'm gonna praise him. Because listen, while I may not be a Christian any longer, really. I'm not like religious or anything. Y'all, I love gospel music. It's
It's so good.
so good.
It's
It's
so
so
good.
good. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. They take his shackles off. And then they proceed with this mock wedding ceremony.
It's
And they
so
do
bizarre.
vows and everything. And my thing was, is this not sacrilegious? Like, Grace has been talking so much about how worried she is about committing sacrilege, because every time she takes communion, she's committing sacrilege because she's married to, or she's committing adultery or some bullshit. I don't know. But is this not sacrilegious? Is it not sacrilegious to go into a church that has been consecrated, stand at the altar with a priest, a real priest, and let him do like
Fake
ministerial things all over you? I think that's probably
it feels wrong. It feels wrong, and it made me want to like ask a priest, like, if someone asked you to do this, could you do it? Because when you have a rehearsal, like a wedding rehearsal, you don't even go through. He's like, and then I do this, and then I say that, and then you guys will kiss. Like they don't even. I know it's for the time, but like they won't even like go through the ceremony. It's a sacred ceremony, right?
Right.
Like, so you wouldn't like do it for funsies.
Yeah, you wouldn't just fake it. You wouldn't just do a mock one.
No, I don't like it.
But yeah, I don't like it either. So they do this whole mock ceremony, and Grace still doesn't remember anything at the end of it. But then Eve, ever the villain, steps in to say, "Oh, wait a minute. You haven't finished. You haven't completed the ceremony." At the end of a wedding ceremony, the groom kisses his bride. So the two of you need to kiss. What kind of friend? Like, literally, as Eve's best friend, allegedly, why would you do this to her? You know that this is only going to make things worse in the marriage that you are trying to allegedly keep together.
Right.
And Sam also, like, how do you think that makes Sam feel? Like, this is just all so uncomfortable.
No.
Hank's there. It's all just so uncomfortable.
It's so gross.
And so, yeah, so
can we talk about this kiss?
Absolutely.
This kiss. First of all, this kiss. Disgusting. It was so gross. It was right. Despicable.
Yeah.
Kiss.
It's sickening.
It's sickening. No, because first of all, it lasts so long. It lasts like several little like sections of the show. It lasts, and he's just like, his mouth is just on hers, but her eyes are open because she's struck with memory. Mm-hmm. So there's just this prolonged kiss where she's and like the dramatic music. She's open-eyed. I wrote she's open-eyed and open-mouthed because she's like her mouth is kind of open and her eyes are kind of open. Also, it was like, it wasn't like lips to lips, because it was like teeth to lips, because that man has no mouth
lips. Like they're nowhere to be seen.
There's no flesh.
All.
There's no like lip flesh.
Bone on her lips. Like but yeah, he's kissing her, and she's getting like this flash of a memory, and she gets a flash of a man in a tuxedo, but she only sees up to his neck,
and her hand is on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
Which
and then
doesn't
she gets
happen.
a flash of herself in that big wide brim white hat that David had mentioned, and her simple white wedding dress,
and her blonde ass hair,
which
is, by the way, I'm not gonna. It only occurred to me this time. It's a little creepy that like, I'm sure it's not a thing that like Sam went from blonde to blonde. Like, it's like suddenly I was like, oh,
That's an interesting observation. Yeah, I had not thought about that.
I didn't. Well, first, it's the dumbest hat I've ever seen in my life. It's the dumbest hat. I don't like. Are you even allowed to wear a hat? Like in?
It was like one of those hats that the ladies wear at the Easter parade every year.
Correct.
You know, and
it's like, the kind of hat that you try on at like on a thrift shop, like in a funny montage when you're like having like with your friends, and you're like, how's this hat?
Yeah, it's certainly not a hat you get married in. And yeah, I don't know, do
No,
you get married in a hat inside of a church?
I
I guess it's similar to a veil.
is that?
I guess. I guess it
I
covers your
don't
head
know.
and your hair. I
Anyway,
don't know.
it was the, but I like how she had a vision of herself, right?
Mhm.
That's her memory. That's her memory.
She can
The camera was a couple feet away from her looking at her own face in
yeah,
her memory.
it wasn't her looking in the mirror. It was literally her seeing
Correct.
herself like spinning around and having a lovely time. Yeah. So she has this vision, and Sam is like getting worked up while he's watching them kiss.
Hmm.
Of course, understandable. And
And
then
Hank was like is like holding his shoulders, like it's all right, buddy, it's all right, hang in there.
once they finally stop kissing, Grace doesn't say anything immediately, but you can tell, everybody can tell by the look on her face and how she looks like kind of scared, I guess,
Like
that she
shaken.
remembers something. And
Hmm.
yeah, shaken. And then the priest also remembers something, and he says, "Oh, I also remembered another this priest." He's like, "I also remember another thing. You were on your way to Boston just after the ceremony." Okay, so we have to stop here because he says, I remember that Grace, you were going to go to Boston just after the ceremony to take some courses. This is the first I've heard of this. It's always been that she was going to Boston to visit her sister. Now it's that she was
Hmm.
going to Boston to go to school. Okay, and then David says that's right. Grace, you went to Boston right after our honeymoon. So you are fucking telling me that the two of these two people were married for all of a week before
That's
Grace disappeared?
that's a great point. That's a great point.
Before Grace disappeared, they were married for all of a week before Grace disappeared. No, girl.
Also, like,
Why are you having such a hard time with this? Why are you having such a hard time with this? You've been married to this fine ass man who builds
mhm,
houses from the ground up,
fights demons.
has so much power in this town,
Hmm. Hmm.
and is fine as hell. Y'all have 3 kids. Why would you give all of that up? Over 20 years of marriage, 3 kids, this man you've been fighting for also recently,
Hmm.
fighting so hard for this marriage, over a man you were married to all of a week
That's a
that
great
you don't
point.
even remember?
Well, when he said take some courses, I wanted to be like, where? What
Yeah,
college? What was I
right.
studying? Because you don't just show up and go like, I'm here for courses. That means somewhere she is registered. Somewhere there's more evidence. Thank you. And thank you, Father Mike. I will be followed. Like, this goes right over not David, Sam's head.
Sam.
Right over his
Well,
head. He's not like, where? Tell me about the courses. What was she studying? What was she, like, tell me anything. David, you were married to her. What was she going to study?
y'all already know what I'm about to say because I've
Mm-hmm.
been saying it for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Sam is a bad police officer, and
Correct.
he's following the wrong line of questioning when it comes to this whole thing with Grace. He is harping on all the wrong
Wrong thing.
things.
He also he need even if because he's right, right? He's
He's
right,
right.
and
Yes.
he knows he's right, but it's clearly not working. So you need to go another route. Change tactics. Stop trying to convince her that he's lying. Instead, be like, "I love you. You don't have to leave. You don't have to leave me for him. Okay, fine. You're married. Fine. You don't like why like, or just be like, I don't know. I would be like,
He
Ivy's
my
looking pretty good.
yeah, well, I think my thing is that they're both operating on like on a level, a very unkeeled level, and one of them needs to come to their senses. Neither of them are thinking straight, it seems to me. And I need Sam to come to his fucking senses and practice some de-escalation, like,
Yes.
and be a good cop and
But
figure this out.
Isn't Hank a cop too at this
Not
point?
yet.
Oh, he's
Well,
not yet.
oh, well, honestly, I'm not sure. He just
I
showed up
don't
to
know.
let me tell you about Hank. Hank, I don't know, like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I don't know. Hank just showed up to the police station one day and was like, "Hey, bro, I need a job." And so it's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a police officer now," without going to the academy. So I don't know. I don't know if he's a police officer not now or not, but that is the
At some
plan.
point he is. He's a plant. But like he should like then show him some he should have better cop instincts than look, buddy, they're in love.
Well,
They
Hank
have a kid.
Hank worked with the FBI. He should know better,
He
actually.
should know better. He has right. If he's like this master criminal,
Yeah,
he should
he
be
was a con
he
artist.
should be more cunning and more and be wise to this. What a missed opportunity for the writers to be like, Sam, I smell a rat. Don't
He
ask me
should
how I know.
Hank should basically be like Sam's Hannibal Lecter, right? Like, I know how con men operate.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
You need me, Clarice.
They
Like,
just dropped that so quickly
yeah,
about his like shady past. No, that would have been a great way for him to like to
he
give
was
him
on
like a
the FBI's most wanted list. He's
yes.
like an international criminal,
No,
con
no,
man.
he's like Harmony local cadet.
Yeah, and like
He's like a Cub Scout now.
because Sam's whole thing is that David is a con artist. He's a con artist. You've got one in the family. Use him.
Does he
Yeah,
know
that would have
that
been
yet?
a well. I don't. Well, they know that
But that
Hank's
would have
been in
been
a lot
good
of trouble.
dialogue. It would have been good dialogue. It would have been like, look, Sam, don't ask me how I know. I know I've done some things I'm not proud of, but I know this guy's full of it.
Yeah,
Like
let
that,
me
just
help you
even just
out. Yeah, yeah. Let me help you out with this. Just right now. The worst thing you can do is continue to
right
lay
berate her.
accusations on him.
Right.
Right?
You're
We're gonna
not going
let
to
things
convince
cool
her
off.
that
We're
mhm,
not gonna let them know that we're on to them. We're gonna pretend, and we'll get it figured
right.
out.
Look at this, like a hostage, right? You don't yell at a hostage, give him out, give him back, right? Like the hostage situation, you're not like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm warning you. You're like, hey, bud,
You
what do you
placate
need?
them.
What do you
Mm-hmm.
need? No,
You
honey, we can definitely get that for you. But here's like, do you think you could maybe,
do
like,
something
you're
for me.
not going to convince Grace that a priest, that Father Mike is lying. You're just not. Even if he is,
Yeah.
you're not going to convince her of that because, so like, so move a different route, a different route.
Yeah.
I
So anyway, we find out that
anyway,
these two people were barely married
if right,
before Grace disappeared.
great point.
And oh, excuse me.
It's all right.
And so then Grace tells everybody what the memory that she had when they kissed, and that she does say, "I couldn't make out the face of the groom, the man that I was marrying." And then so Sam's like, "That's so then this is all bullshit." Sam, let
Yeah,
this go. Let
down.
this go. You're not gonna, this is not the correct angle because all of the evidence is pointing to the contrary. And you know it. You know it. This is not gonna work. Stop and regroup and do your own investigation quietly. Do it
Right.
quietly. And when you
Mm-hmm.
have what you need, come back. But so anyway, Sam thinks because Grace doesn't believe, I'm sorry. Sam thinks because Grace can't see who it was that she was marrying that
That
um
proves.
it somehow proves that her and David didn't get married. It's so stupid. She's like, and I'm actually with Grace on this one. She's like, I had a memory of a wedding that was not ours. Like, and there's a man in there saying that I was married to him. Ergo, he was the
Right.
man in my vision. I mean,
Like,
at this
look,
point,
if you've ever been so drunk that you don't remember the night before, if you've ever been that drunk, it's you really can't convince. And it's only happened once or twice in my whole life. But like there's really like you're told that you did things. You're shown video of you. You're like, I was dancing on the sidewalk. I
yeah,
like singing on the rain like a lamppost. Like I did. Like I have no memory of it, and it definitely happened. And that's like after like mixing drink like 4 drinks, not like amnesia. So like no, when your memory is like fucked with chemically, like you can't you can't convince someone that something happened or didn't happen because you don't trust anything. And this girl
Right.
doesn't trust her own memories, and he's not being sensitive to that. Like
Yeah.
she's saying, I remember something, like I can't rule it out. And like
And we should all, like you said, we need to be sensitive to this, to Grace in this moment, especially considering in the last 20 something years she has not remembered much of anything. She had an inkling that she had a
anything.
sister. That's it. She was like, I think I had a sister. Like, and that's, she wasn't really getting any much memories other than that. This lady has
A
not remembered anything.
magical twin sister, by the way, like a
So
magical twin sister.
yeah. So
She
now
didn't
she didn't even
remember.
remember that. She doesn't remember
Right.
she has superpowers, but she's supposed to remember she was married to this random man for a week. Like, but anyway, yes, she's finally getting some kind of memory, and that actually is a good thing,
Mhm.
right? Like, if you think about the larger picture of it all, that's a good thing. We should be glad that Grace
We
is
should be
starting to
glad
remember
it's starting
things.
to come back. Right.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
Although she
um,
hasn't yet remembered anything that hasn't been told to her.
that's true. That's
Right.
true. She hasn't
And I
remembered
feel
anything
like
that hasn't been told to her. That's absolutely true.
that's something that I feel like a good cop might want to point out. Be like, look, I'm not invalidating it. Sure, I'm happy your memory's coming back. I just want to point out that you haven't remembered anything that he has not first primed you for.
That's
That's
so
it.
true.
That's all I'm
And
saying.
that's so true. And I've had so many, you can have dreams and false memories, but
Correct.
you dream all kinds of things up. And, there's a lot. Hell, I've never won a Tony Award. Did I dream that? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. But
so,
like even if you watch these like shows about like witnesses on trial
mhm.
and what they remember even days ago, and like it's
Well,
not reliable.
did you ever listen to
Um,
Serial, that first season of Serial about
mhm,
Adnan
mhm.
Syed or whatever? And they talk about that, about how unreliable people's memories actually are,
Right.
you know? And I personally, honestly, I was like blown away because I feel like in that season they also did like a little thought experiment for the listeners and like had us try to do like a memory thing, and
Yes.
I was like,
And I didn't care for it because I felt
yeah,
real stupid.
yeah, me
I was like,
too. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I would remember either,
no, like
actually.
even if I was just like, where were you last Wednesday at 7 o'clock?
Couldn't
Like
tell you.
I on truly could not tell. Yeah, I would have to go through like texts, I'd have to go through emails, I'd have to go through phone calls, I'd have to figure out like who was I talking, like what's going to trigger me. Like
Wednesday
I
the
don't,
25th means nothing to me.
it means
Means
nothing,
nothing
right?
to me.
It
I
might as
don't
well be 20 years ago.
I don't know
By
where
the
I
way,
was.
Father Mike was like, I remember your wedding so well. It was 20 or more years ago. I remember it so well. It was 20 or more years ago. Okay. And then he's like, I remember it because it was such a pleasure marrying two people so in love. Oh,
Oh
as opposed to
yeah.
all the other weddings all the, anyway,
He
I
was
hate everybody.
he yeah,
I stopped
he
taking notes because I got so angry. Where this is going, I don't know if you kept taking notes. The whole
mhm.
like Ivy thing where now we
I
start
took
talking
some notes.
about Ivy. I was just like, this whole conversation would never happen. And I'm so angry at it. I don't
I
want to
took a
waste my
few notes. All I did was say that at this point, Grace and Sam like go somewhere
go
else to
outside.
talk, and
Right.
Ivy and Pilar are like over here, have been listening in on all of this conversation. And at one point, Pilar just decides, I have to do something. Like what? I have to do something to help.
What
So she
time is
inserts
it? It's
herself.
after midnight, right? Is it still after midnight that same
Yeah,
night?
I
Or
don't
no, it's the next no,
understand
it's
the
the next day.
timing. I don't understand the timing because we yeah, it's like the end of
I
the
don't know.
next day. Yeah, it's like
It's
the end
just
of the
night.
next day.
Okay.
It's
It's just
night,
nighttime.
it's late, it's whatever. The
It's what you
timing
have
in
to
this show
do.
is ridiculous. But yeah, Pilar decides to insert herself into this conversation saying, I need to find a way to help. I need to help somehow. How? How could you possibly help? Just leave. Pilar, go
This was
home.
also
Where are your kids? Where are your children?
right, right. You don't know where your kids are. No,
God,
really, like
go.
any of you. This is like she actually doesn't know where any of her children are right now.
Not a single one.
Not one
a
fucking
single
kid.
one.
Not a single child.
Not a single
She
child.
doesn't know where Miguel is. She doesn't know where Theresa is. She doesn't know where Luis is. She doesn't know where Paloma is, and she doesn't know where Antonio is, and she doesn't know where her husband is. This is why I say Pilar sucks. Like, but literally.
But she certainly knows where the fuck Ivy is.
She
always knows where Ivy is.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I do like Pilar as a character. I do. I like Pilar. I also like shitting on Pilar about the fact that she just never knows where her kids are, and she's so wrapped up in so many other people's business. And all of her kids are like the epicenter of drama in this town.
Mm-hmm. And if they left, there'd be so much more harmony. If these fucking beautiful dramatic motherfuckers left. They're so good looking, but holy shit, it's not worth it.
So Ivy and Pilar, Ivy and Pilar show themselves in the church, and then Eve immediately starts tearing into Ivy. She says, "You are such a vulture, Ivy. You're just here to pick at the pieces of Sam and Grace's marriage." Ivy plays it cool and coy and innocent, saying, I know how much Sam and Grace's marriage means to them. Mm-hmm. I sympathize with them. And she says, and I remind you that this has absolutely nothing to do with me. Girl, I love it. I love it.
I loved her so much. And I loved every face that she made off camera. Her eyebrows give me life. Everything she's like, mm-hmm. Every time she's like, "Remember, Grace, you can do it. You can remember." I love it so much.
She says, "This has nothing to do with me this time, does it?" Mm-hmm. And then she introduces herself to David and Father Mike as if they don't know her already.
Fucking brilliant. You brilliant bitch. You brilliant bitch.
She introduces herself to David and Father Mike, and she brings them up to speed on her past with Sam a little bit, and that they have a son, and so then she leaves. She quickly leaves after Hank says some shit like, "Ivy, you should know that Sam's never gonna give up on Grace, and their marriage is gonna work," and yada yada yada. So then she leaves.
She's like, I know their marriage is rocks. I know they'll get through this. Like, she does a good job.
You know what it is? Eve says to Ivy, and this is what makes Ivy leave. Eve says, "Stop salivating, Ivy. You're never gonna get Sam." And Ivy just kind of leaves in a huff at that point. But
did she take her flowers, or did she leave? Did she actually
took her flowers? She didn't leave them on the altar like she
said. The flowers that she came for she's holding this bouquet the whole time.
So, meanwhile, Sam and Grace are having a talk outside. Oh, actually, I want to talk about one thing. We got to get through this because I'm going slow and I'm sorry, but
no,
I just want to say one thing. At one point, Hank says to David, "You need to give up on Sam, on getting Grace. Like, they've been married for 20 years, yada, yada, yada." And David says to him, "Sam has no claim on Grace." Huh? No claim. A claim. A claim. Like, it's not an insurance thing. Like, she's not a piece of furniture.
Property. Well,
she's not a piece of furniture. She might act like a chair, but she's not actually a chair. And he says he has no claim. And Hank fires back saying, "What do you call the last over 20 years of marriage and 3 kids?" And it was cute, whatever. But anyway, outside, actually, let me finish up with Sam and Hank. Hank says, "What do you call the last 20 years? Yada yada yada."
And 3 kids.
David says that Grace and Sam's marriage, he says, listen, man, at the end of the day, Grace and Sam's marriage is not legal and it is not valid. And I mean, he really kind of shut it down right there. He's like, at the end of the day, she married me first under the eyes of God, legally and in the church. So their marriage is I think he called it illegal. Their marriage an illegal marriage, and it's invalid. Shut that all the way down. So let's talk about Sam and Grace outside. Grace is getting on my nerves. Sam is getting on my nerves. Ivy's watching Ivy didn't leave. Ivy went to go find Sam. Sam wasn't there anymore, so she was like, this is not worth my time. So she's hiding in the bushes outside while Sam and Grace have this horrible conversation. So they're talking outside. Grace says that she says, well, if I married David, that means that I loved him, because you know that I would never marry somebody unless there was real love there. And then Sam, I liked what Sam said at this point. He says, listen, Grace, we're going to talk to Father Mike and figure out where we can go from here. Yes.
Finally.
Correct. Talk to these priests and figure out what y'all's options are. But Grace keeps harping on the fact that she must have loved David. She keeps coming back to that. And then Sam goes back to, well, it's all a scam and I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And Grace tells him, you're not looking at the evidence like a cop. And she's right. She's correct. Then that's when Ivy walks in on the two of them. Nothing happens here. Like, she walks in, they both give her a look like, what are you doing here? And then she quickly fucks off. But she listens and hides in the bushes. And then Sam says he still refuses to believe that they were married. He says all of his instincts tell him that this guy's a liar. And then he says, I wish he had never come to Harmony or had been killed in one of those far off away shoots. And Grace, I mean, that was hard. I will say that is harsh.
But he does not like that.
But Grace is like, who even are you? Wishing for someone's death?
Don't make your wife defend him. Like, don't do that. Don't be so angry that she feels the need to defend him, because you already know that she has been. So, like, don't push it.
And then this girl starts going just deep, just like
and then it comes out.
She starts defending David. She says, actually, I think David is admirable. Admirable? Okay. She says, he's trying to save our marriage. And then Sam says, you don't have a marriage. You're my wife. The two of you don't have a marriage. You're my wife. And then Grace says, no, but what about all of the evidence, Sam? He has a mountain of evidence. And she does. And this is smart. This is right. She says, you need to come to terms with the fact that I might not legally be your wife. And Correct. He does need to come to terms with that. And figure out his pathway forward. He does.
Right.
And then she starts going, this isn't, because Sam's mad. He's calling David every liar in the book. He's a con artist. And then Grace says, this isn't David's fault. All he's done is tell us the truth. David just wants to rekindle a love that we had, a love that lasted over 20 years, even though he didn't know what happened to me, a love that brought him. She's like getting lost in her own words.
Right. No, she's right.
A love that brought him back from overseas because he saw a picture of me in a magazine and he came looking for me. And Sam rightfully gets a little concerned. He's like, Grace, this sounds like you are like falling for this man. He says, do you have feelings for Dave? Like, this sounds like you have feelings for this guy. And he says, you were so passionate about David just now. Quote, Grace, are you starting to remember that you once had feelings for David Hastings? Yeah, Grace falling in love with this man in 2 days after he kidnapped her is
I don't even have the
words.
I didn't take it as she was forming feelings for him. I just took it as she was witnessing love in action. That's kind of how I took it. And she was passionate about witnessing love in action. Like, look how much he loves me. Look, he's fighting for me. He's being brave. He's standing up to you, whatever. Even though he's so much taller than him, he's so much taller. When Sam took off those cuffs, it was so funny because he had to like look straight up at him. And I do want to say, are we done with? Are we like? There's three things I
I'm done.
noted.
We can talk more about it if you want.
3 things real quick because I know this is taking a while, but I'm a minute. Number one, I was really proud that Sam and Grace left to have a private conversation because that never happens. Like they actually left to go have a private, because usually two people have conflict publicly and everyone just stands around watching the conflict, like in the frame. Like it's so uncomfortable. They actually left to have a conversation. Also, I kind of wish Hank had said, like, when David was like, look, that marriage is illegal. He's like, yeah, but the relationship isn't. Like that relationship is real. Like whether or not they were ever married, those two people are partners in life for the last 20, they are longer partners than they haven't been. Like that's what's not invalid. And they keep harping on this marriage. The marriage is illegal. The marriage is invalid. Fuck the marriage. Like, but the relationship is real.
And the thing is, Lisa, I obviously agree with you. You are absolutely right. And I wish that we would go down that line of narrative, but we will not. And they keep harping, especially Grace, on this whole, we were married in a church before God. I was married in a church before God. Like
it's
But if you believe, here's my thing. If you are like a Christian who believes in God and believes that, and also believes that like everything has a reason and a plan, and God has a plan, and then God did this for you, right? God did this, correct?
Right.
This was part of God's plan.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
In your marriage to Sam, you got married to him. Yeah. Like, didn't God want your marriage? It seems that God wanted your marriage to Sam.
This was always great.
And not this other dude.
Right.
And this other guy showing up is just like a small test that you are failing.
No, it's bad.
Failing. But you are absolutely right. The relationship is not fake. The marriage maybe it's illegal or invalid.
Yeah, but who cares? The point is like I'm with this person now.
What we've shared for the last 20 plus years is very real. And we have these 3 children.
Well, here's the thing. That's what Hank says. Hank says they have 3 children. And then David's response to that is like, well, if a child is what gives you a claim to a marriage, is what validates the relationship, then what about Sam's child with Ivy? And then he fucking won't shut the fuck up about Sam and Ivy. Like these people who he just met 2 seconds ago. He's like, what about who broke up with who? Like, I was like, this is what? If that wasn't a red flag, everyone's like, who broke up with who ended it, what about their child together? Also, what about John? Right? He doesn't bring up, like, we know.
Oh, right. Yeah.
At this point, he's like, oh, a child validates a relationship, and he doesn't bring up the child that will show up, which is another red flag.
And when would Grace have had that child? Do they explain that? Because again, we just found out that these 2 people were married for about a week before she fucked the fuck off to Boston and got lost.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. When did she have that baby?
It doesn't make sense. And when you have children, I know, like, they can see if you were pregnant before, or that you, like, they would have said, this is not, like, I can see this is not your first pregnant, like the womb of a.
Yep. No, there's so much. There's
another thing they're going to retcon.
But also, I do want to say too, speaking of the children, to bring up Ethan saying, well, what about his child with Ivy? First of all, Ethan is grown. Ethan is so grown. That man is damn near 30 years old. That man is grown. These two people have kids that are in high school. Like, they have children. Like, shut up. You don't know anything. And then on top of that, Sam just found out, honestly, yes, by blood they are related, but in any other way that counts, Ethan is not Sam's child at all. Because if you are adopted by somebody, like, that person is your parent. Especially if they raise you from birth and you know no other parent, and then you meet that other parent in your 20s, or your biological parent in your 20s, that person is not your father. They're not the person. You can't, not, especially not overnight. It's been what? A month? It's been like a
Right.
month, maybe, since Sam found out that Ethan was technically his son. Like, no, that doesn't fly for me. All right,
Correct.
let's move on.
Let's go to Bermuda.
Bermuda, Jamaica.
No.
Ooh, I always do them in the wrong order.
Ooh, I want to make you.
And all the down the
Bermuda, Bahama.
Kokomo. We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow.
Where is Kokomo?
I don't know.
Is
Is it even a real place? I have no clue.
it is. No, it's like in the middle of America. Like
Is it?
when that song came out, like people like travel agents were like, it's not real, stop calling us. Yeah. Hold
Kokomo?
on.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Where
hold
is
on.
it?
Kokomo. No, where's Kokomo? Kokomo.
Where is
Yeah, it's in Indiana.
100,000?
Yeah, it's in Indiana.
Kokomo,
I feel
Indiana. Kokomo, Arkansas. There's a Kokomo, Hawaii. There's Indiana, Arkansas, and Hawaii. So maybe they mean the one in Hawaii. Down at Kokomo.
probably named it after. They probably named it after the song came out to be like, yeah, come on over.
And there's one in the Fiji Islands, apparently.
There's a lot of Kokomos. Anyway, I do remember hearing that like travel agents were like, there's no like let's go to Kokomo in the Caribbean. They're like, it doesn't exist. It's not in the Caribbean.
Yeah,
like,
this is
you want to go to Fiji? They're like, oh.
Yeah, that's not what I thought. Okay, so
all right, Bermuda.
We're in Bermuda. We're gonna start with the boys because it's easy to get through.
The boys so wet and slippery.
Yeah, the boys are all out at sea with Basil, searching for Sheridan in the middle of a quote level 5 hurricane. Level 5, not category 5,
correct.
Level 5 hurricane. And
Hurricane
while they're
Peggy.
searching in Hurricane Peggy, hooah! Peggy Hill. I've been watching a lot of King of the Hill lately, so as soon as I saw Peggy, that came right to my mind. But anyway, Ethan gets thrown overboard, and because Basil is frantically trying to get back to shore, so he like turns the boat really fast, and then Ethan gets thrown overboard, and then Chad takes off his shirt, he throws in the life preserver, and he goes in after Ethan. And I'm, you know what? I'm so glad that he threw in the life preserver because Louise has been jumping on and off of boats for 2 weeks now, and at no time does he ever throw in the life preserver. And do they not? Surely, if you're gonna go out on a boat in the middle of a hurricane,
in the middle of the night,
life vests.
Correct, with lights on them.
You would wear life vests if you're gonna make this decision.
You wouldn't be on that boat. You wouldn't be on that boat without life vests. No. Basil should have a fucking life vest. As soon as it gets a little choppy, put that motherfucking life vest on with your lights.
You're going out into a hurricane before you leave the docks, before you even get on the boat, like before you even turn the motor on. You would put on a life vest, I would think. But anyway, at least Chad throws in the lifesaver thing, the circular life preserver, before he jumps in after our guy, Ethan. Chad is just such a good guy. Chad's just a good guy.
I love this Chad so much.
I know.
I love this Chad. He's so, and you know what? I'm kind of glad that they had him take off his shirt because they're always like having excuses for like, I don't want to say the white men, but like the white men, like they're always like everyone's just always taking off their shirts, and like Chad's shirt is never off. Give him a chance.
Let him take off his shirt.
Like he gets to be like, let him take off his shirt to like open a jar of pickles once in a while. Like every man in that stupid show like rips off their shirt to do something that does not require shirtlessness.
Let him be Harmony's
let
hunk.
him be Harmony's, like even like I feel like we've seen Reese's chest more than like I don't know. Like ooh.
Well,
Actually,
he does take off his shirt and he does jump into the water and he does save.
with pants on, it makes me very uncomfortable that he's got those like pants
For
on.
me, it was the shoes. You know how hard it is to
Oh
swim in
yeah, it's
shoes?
very hard to swim in shoes.
I was like, wouldn't you take off your shoes? Like,
I will,
I don't
yeah.
know. But anyway, he jumps in, he does get to Ethan, and they get back on the boat. Luis then starts arguing with Basil. He's like, you almost killed Ethan, you could have killed us. Basil is going, we have to go back. But Luis is not having it. He's like, we have to find Sheridan. Frankly, this is all very ridiculous to me at this point. It's like, yeah, let's go back.
No, let's go back. No.
But
This is not safe. You don't invite. This is not safe.
Luis is not in his right mind. And then Basil pulls a gun on Luis and the guys and is like, we're going back. But sir, how are you supposed to steer this boat in this storm and hold this gun
And
on
hold a gun. Right.
You're not gonna do it. So of course he somehow drops it, Butterfingers. There's giant waves coming in constantly. And so he drops it. There's a struggle between him and Luis, and then Luis grabs him and starts.
Chad grabs it.
Yeah, Chad gets the gun. Luis gets Basil, and ties him up with a rope and is like, sit your ass down.
Like one time. And then they cut away. And when he comes back, then it's wrapped around him like 18 times. But like when he's like, sit down, he's like, it's like once, very loosely.
It was very sexual, in my opinion.
It was.
Maybe it was just the way I was projecting.
You know what? It was dark. Everyone was slippery and glistening.
Yes, wet. He was real aggressive. The way he was aggressive, and he was so, like he didn't have on his shirt. I'm talking about Luis. He didn't have on his shirt, and he grabs this guy by his shoulder.
You would have been like, Basil, switch with me real quick. Switch with me real quick. Let's just tag 100%. Me in, Basil. Let's just switch real quick.
Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach.
Like, oh, Luis.
Yeah, Luis, tie me up.
The rope's there. Oh. Like you're like slowly like holding the rope. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I hope you don't tie me up.
I hope you don't take my gun and tie me up and shake me real hard.
I hope you don't rip the rest of the shirt off.
Absolutely, exactly. So he very erotically ties up Basil, whatever. And then at this point, and Maria called him Aquaman last week, and it was hilarious because it's so true. So I'm gonna start calling Luis Aquaman. Aquaman jumps right back into the ocean to assemble the creatures of the deep, and he's looking for Sheridan.
Because someone said there's something in the water, and he jumps the fuck in. Look, I'm pretty fearless. I don't know how this happened, but like probably because I'm stupid. I'm not afraid of things that I should be afraid of. Mm-hmm. But the idea of being in the ocean at night, literally, like I just got sick, like my stomach just went into my throat. The like not knowing what is under you, and knowing how many large
the open ocean during the day is scary enough.
It's scary enough. Like, it's beautiful, but it's scary enough.
And jumping into the open sea, the open sea in the middle of the day terrifies me. The idea of jumping into the open ocean in the middle of a hurricane, at night in a storm, forget about it. Horrific. But Luis keeps jumping in this water trying to find Sheridan.
Love.
So yeah, he jumps in again looking for her, and the whole time Basil's just yelling like, he's a dead man just like his fiance. Sheridan's dead. Whatever. Not wrong. So not entirely wrong,
No, it's absurd. This is not.
So they put the searchlight. Chad puts the searchlight, trying to keep his light on Luis. They find him, and they pull him out, and he's holding something, and it turns out to be the shirt that Sheridan was wearing when the boat exploded. Oh, so sad. And then an enormous wave, which they show us this same frame of this wave multiple times, but it's different every time. I'm meant to believe it's a different wave, but it's the exact same wave every time.
It's the same crash.
we see this giant wave, like 50-foot wave coming up, and it crashes down on the boat, and that's it for the boat. The guy, it's done. It's kaput. It's a shipwreck now. And which actually, speaking of shipwrecks, and I know we going low, but I just have to say this one thing. I was watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Have you seen this show?
Mhm.
It's fine. I'm not the biggest fan, but it's fine. But there's an
It has its
episode.
moments.
Yeah, there's an episode where she's on a boat and she gets in trouble because she throws this guy's
Coat.
jacket into the
Oh, yeah.
water,
Mhm.
and she gets like arrested, and they make a joke about how technically she committed
She's a
an
pirate?
act of that she committed an act of piracy, because when money's on a boat, it's technically treasure. I don't know. That just cracked me up. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it was
these
very
guys are
funny.
pirates on a boat, and there's boats been shipwrecked. They've been shipwrecked. In the middle of the ocean, the Kraken came and took their boat.
And took it.
So now they're just like all scrambling in the water. They find each other, they lose each other. They find each other, they lose each other. We do that for the rest of the week. Giant wave comes, find each other, lose each other. And that's that.
I was just thinking, like, this whole week, like, poor Juliet Mills, who's like up there in years, is in a dirt cave. Like, she's like sitting in dirt, covered in dirt. Poor, like these men are in water this whole time. Well, this shoot must have been so annoying. And also, like, there's a camera in the water. You can see, like, it's like really in there. Like we're like, this is not like a wide shot. Like, they put a cameraman in the water, bobbing around. They're screaming at each other. The wave, they had to rent a wave pool for this, clearly. The lights are going like it's lightning. Like,
it's great, actually.
They did a good job. Like, they really...
For Passions, especially, the effects during this storm in the water, very, very good. I typically have a lot of shitty things to say, but they did a really good job. It
they
was kind of
splurge
scary
on really bizarre, like the things that they spend a lot of money on versus like the things that they skimp on.
Yeah, it's because they use up all their budget, like they on one
for the visuals.
Yeah, for one visual, and then the rest of them are terrible. Like charities, like the charities light and being pulled into the cave, like it looks terrible. But they had used all their money on this pool, using James Cameron's fucking Titanic set,
you know, world,
like call up James Cameron, ask him if they can use his Titanic set, and he was like, yeah, sure. But you're gonna have to pay me, and they spent a lot of money on it.
They spent a lot of money on it.
I don't know if that's true, y'all. I just said it like it was true, but it's not. So back and forth. Let's go back to the resort where Hurricane Peggy is making landfall, y'all, and everybody has to stay in the lobby according to the hotel staff. They're like,
it's the weirdest thing. Stay here. No one go to their rooms. You have to stay in the lobby. First of all, where did all those people who were eating? Like all of a sudden there's like maybe 19 people in the entire hotel all of a sudden in this huge hotel.
Well, you know what? Maybe there's been talk about this hurricane for a while coming, and most people left. People with any kind of sense are not on the island anymore.
Or canceled their trips.
Okay. Yeah, because we typically know when a hurricane is coming. You have some time.
You really do.
So maybe that's what it is. There's only the brain dead are on this island. Only people left on this island. So
so everyone's in the lobby.
They're in the lobby. The girls are worrying about the boys out at sea and Sheridan, and Whitney starts to cry about Chad and says, maybe Chad was right. Maybe we should have told Simone about us. Who gives a fuck?
No one.
And so
then no one. I hate it. I don't like it.
Then so these girls are starting to get a little emotional, and of course if Whitney's at 5 or 6 and she's getting emotional, Theresa has to take it to 15, right?
She drives me crazy. I fucking hate her. I wanted to punch her in the stomach every time she talked to anyone. I'd be like, shut up, bitch. I hate her so much. Ugh.
Theresa says the most insane thing.
Insane. And so forward, like yelling at the men, like yelling at everybody, like she's the most dramatic theater asshole in high school that like never knows how to turn it off.
Michelle. She's Leah Michelle. No, okay. So she says the most insane thing to Whitney. She says, Whitney, this is all my fault. Okay, you know what? That tracks. That tracks because you about to say that you should have never come to Bermuda in the first place? No. This
No.
is all my fault because Sheridan and Luis's boat exploded because I lied to Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
fate. This is my punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
somehow, the boat explosion is her fault because she lied. Like, that's megalomaniac
Correct.
territory.
She is so delusional and narcissistic that she thinks that her love with Ethan is so important, like in the universe, that God would make a fucking boat explode out of nowhere and also rearrange the atmosphere for a hurricane to punish her for lying to the man that she's supposed to.
Yeah. No, that shit was wild. I was actually watching it during we watched it together on the watch party, and it was like I had to stop the video because I was like, what did she just say?
What did she just say? This fucking narcissist. I'm
So
being punished. I'm being punished.
this
be-
is my punishment.
This
Not
is all about me.
fuck my brother and
Right.
Sheridan and Louise, not Louise, Ethan and Chad, who are all out
By
risking
the way,
their
Louise is
lives.
always the last person that she names. She's like, we have to make sure that Ethan and Chad and Louise are all right. Oh, like her brother.
That's her
is the last
priority
one.
list. That's
Those
her
are her
priority list.
I fucking hate this bitch.
So
Anyway,
I
let's keep
don't. I
going.
still love Theresa.
I know you
really
love her.
Theresa. I really love Theresa, but like that. But honestly,
Can you imagine?
These are the moments that make me. These are also like the moments that make me kind of love Theresa because it's wild. It's crazy.
If I were in that lobby and I heard her, this like 18-year-old yelling at the staff, like, he can't be dead. No, he can't be. Like, you'd be like, we are all in this together. You are not the most important person in this room. Please, someone. Where's Eve with her fucking sedative?
That's exactly what I was about to say. That is exactly what I was about to say. I was like, where's Eve with the sedative when you need her? Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I was about to say.
So give her a mild sedative.
These girls are sad. They're talking. Theresa saying wild things. Then Julian interrupts the girls and he tells Theresa that there's no reason for her to tell Ethan the truth about them getting married if he comes back. Of course, that makes her fly off the handle. What do you mean? He will. He's coming back. But then he tells her, listen, all I'm saying is my lawyer is coming ASAP to clean up this marriage mess. So he'll be here soon. But here's my thing. Why wasn't the lawyer there already, considering the fact that Julian was on the island to finalize his divorce? Did you not need your lawyer for that? But his divorce is now finalized already, obviously, because he married Theresa afterwards. Did you not need your lawyer to finalize your divorce in the first place? I don't understand. I don't understand the law in this place and in this show. Because why do you need your lawyer now and you didn't need your lawyer then? These two things both pertain to marriages that you were trying to dissolve.
I don't know.
I don't know. Why isn't your lawyer already here? But anyway, Julian then contemplates because he walks off and talks to Bruce a lot. He's talking to Bruce a lot in these episodes.
I like Bruce. I like Bruce. Like as a human being, Bruce is disgusting and I hate him. But like I do appreciate the act. Again, I have to focus on the acting, otherwise I'm going to get caught up in how disgusting these humans are. But like the actor who's playing Bruce, he's like not too much anything. He's there.
He's there so Julian has somebody to say
to play off of, to gross things too.
Yeah,
right.
So and he does a good job taking it all in, right? And so Julian goes over to him and contemplates staying married to Theresa, and he says that he'll just send Rebecca an email that their marriage is off. Okay. If you want your dick cut off, he says he'll just send her an email.
Yeah, as soon as I confirm Ethan is dead, I'll email Rebecca and tell her that we're not getting married.
Okay. An email. That's okay. Then he goes over to Theresa again and tries to like ingratiate himself to her. He's like, giving her like a little back massage, and then Theresa like tries to set boundaries with between them.
She keeps calling him Mr. Crane.
Yeah, and because he's kind of laying the groundwork. He doesn't say it flat out like we should stay married, but he makes a couple of little comments here and there about her being his wife, his little wife. And she's like, let's get one thing straight. Ethan's coming back and you and I are going to get this marriage thing figured out and dissolved as soon as possible, Mr. Crane. And so then Theresa tells Whitney, after Julian goes back to talk to Bruce some more, she tells him that she tells Whitney, I'm going to tell Ethan the truth. She has resolved to tell Ethan the truth when he gets back. She's going to tell him everything. It's going to be a test for their relationship. And they talk more about like Whitney and Chad. And then the Justice of the Peace shows up. And I want to talk about Whitney this week. I love Whitney this week. I love Whitney this week.
It's the first time I was like, oh, she's doing something interesting. I don't hate it.
The Justice of the Peace interrupts Whitney and Theresa's conversation and gives Theresa the wedding pictures between her and Julian and says, I just thought you would want to see these pictures. And this guy is so judgmental and horrible. I don't like him. He gives Theresa the pictures. Whitney takes them out, looks at them, and she's like, look at you. You are clearly out of your mind, drunk. And then she turns to the Justice of the Peace and lays into him. And she says exactly what I said last week. She says to him, how could you marry these two like this? They're clearly drunk. How is this even legal? And he says, I assure you, it is perfectly legal. People have the right to get married, even if they're drunk. No, there has to be an ethical, like at a certain point, there has to be, you have the right to deny service to people based on your ethics.
Right. You can deny them. You can deny giving them another drink if they're too drunk. So you certainly should be. Like, you can say, no, I am not going to give you another glass of wine, ma'am.
Exactly. Like, legally, you have to. Legally, bartenders have to. Like, they can't overserve people. They're not supposed to. So, yeah, you should. I imagine there has to be some sort of something around this.
Especially with this winter-spring age gap. Yeah, like, something is... And later on, he talks about how it bothered him that she was so young and he was so old. So, like, then why did you do it? Then why would you... I guess he was afraid of Julian. I guess maybe that's it.
That could be part of it. That could be part of it.
Because he owns the hotel, and if Julian Crane says marry me to this person, then you're okay, Mr. Crane.
Yeah. Although he acted like, I will say, when they got married and did all of that, that man acted like he had no idea who Julian was.
Correct.
Because when he relayed what happened to like Ethan and Chad, he was like, oh, yes, I had a very odd couple in here. The guy was kind of a lech. He was like describing him. He wasn't like, yeah, he's a very prominent figure. He actually owns the hotel. I shouldn't be talking about him. You know what I mean? And then once Julian told him, I'm Julian Crane, I own all of this, then he got like scared or whatever. And that was later.
It's a good point.
But yeah, he didn't even seem to know who Julian was. So I'm with Whitney on this. He shouldn't have ever married them. Then Theresa asks the Justice of the Peace. She's like, you should know, like, how isn't it pretty easy to get an annulment? He says, actually, it can be a very intricate process. And so yeah, we don't know that's where it is with them. Rebecca and Gwen are on the island.
Bone dry.
Cannot stand these women.
No.
Rebecca,
and they're not even like funny enough. They're not entertaining enough to be as annoying as they are right now. Like, they're not being given entertaining material. They're just annoying.
They arrive to the hotel, and Rebecca says to Gwen, but really to us, so we know why she's there. She says she's there to marry Julian immediately. Now that his divorce is finalized, she's ready they should get married. She's going to make sure they get married right on the island. Then Gwen has a thought that she's like, what if Theresa and Ethan are already married? And Rebecca tells her to stay positive. And she says Theresa's probably done something and found a way to mess things up. So don't worry. And she's not wrong about that. Rebecca's not wrong about that. So they make it to the resort. They surprise Julian. And she tells him that she wants to get married immediately. And then he brings them up to speed on all the current situation and says, well, Sheridan's been killed and the guys are out to sea. This really isn't the right time to be talking about a wedding and getting married. And at this point, Gwen is like, Theresa let Ethan go out into a hurricane?
He says it so many times.
How could she let him go out to sea? That is a grown man.
It changes from let to sent. As the week goes on, she's like, you said you love him, but you sent him out in a hurricane. And she's like, I didn't want him to go. He has agency.
And so she's like, if I were with Ethan, I would never let him do that. Julian,
you were with Ethan and you couldn't stop him from fucking Theresa. So don't tell me what you wouldn't let him do. You couldn't, right? You didn't let him fuck Theresa and he ended up marrying that bitch. So
yeah.
Sorry.
So you are absolutely right. So then Julian like defends Theresa just a little bit. He says she tried to stop him, but Ethan was insistent and he was foolhardy and he went out. He said Theresa is not to blame for Ethan's choices. And then Rebecca says, why are you defending Theresa? She gets a little, she's a little like, she gets that intuition. She's like, this doesn't seem like Julian, which is right. She's right. It's very unlike Julian to come to anybody's defense, really, other than himself. And so she gets her little wheels start to spin a little bit. She asks him why he's defending Theresa, and he says he just feels sorry for her because she could lose her brother and Ethan all in one night. And then Gwen's like, if Ethan dies, it's all her fault. And then she's like, look at her over there chatting it up. Ethan's the last thing on her mind. How do you know? Shut up. God, Gwen's so annoying. God,
the worst.
Gwen is so fucking irritating. Look at her over there chatting it up. Ethan's the last thing on her mind.
Right. Meanwhile, every time you look at her, she looks distraught. Theresa is very good at looking distraught.
Yes, she is very good at that. So, it is at this point that they go over to bother Theresa and Whitney. And Theresa's holding that dumbass wedding picture.
Like this.
Yeah, like up to her, like once she sees them and she pulls it back to her chest. And it's just
like, what are you talking about? It's
just so conspicuous. Have you ever had a kid in class who was like on their phone they weren't supposed to be, and they're like doing it in the most conspicuous way possible, and they're like, I'm not doing anything. You're like, yes, I have eyes. Yes, you
I have them come up with me. I was like, can you come here for a second? And then like as they stand there, I was like, I just want to show you how stupid you look. And then like I point out, I said, what's Paloma doing? What's she doing? It's on her phone, right? Because you can see it under her desk, right? Okay.
Right.
How about, or like the kid who has like his like the textbook up like this, and I was like,
yeah, look how dumb you look. Look how fucking dumb you look.
Right. Look, whatever. What's Joe doing?
Or
he's on his phone. Do you see how stupid you all look all the time? He's like, I just wanted you to know maybe if you knew how dumb you looked and how obvious it is, you would stop hiding it. Just
when
like,
they are talking to each other, and like I used to have folders for my kids, right? And they would pick up their folders and hold them in front of their faces.
Yep. No one has ever read anything like that.
Ever.
That's the way Theresa was holding the picture, like this.
And they're like, and then you call them out and they're like, what? I'm looking at the music. No, you're not. No, you're not.
You're fucking not.
No, you're not. You're not looking at music that close to your face in the folder. No, you're not, idiot. Why do you think I'm an idiot? I have a master's degree.
Right. How dare you? How dare you? You think I'm dumb?
I've been around the block a couple of times, kid. Like, God, kids are dumb, and I'm so glad that I don't have to do
dumb.
that anymore.
They're so dumb.
Anyway.
They're so dumb. They're getting dumber. I'm sorry to all any teenagers. Well, you know, the rest of you are you look around and think, damn, we dumb.
There are no children who listen to this podcast.
There are no
not a
children who
single
listen to
one.
this
I looked at
podcast.
my demographic stuff the other day, and it's like
No.
it's like 50% is like ages 28 to 37 or something like that, and then the other like 50% is spread out above that, and there's like a 2% that's like 18 to 24.
That's crazy. Well, how old is your niece? How old is your niece?
My niece is 20.
Yeah. Is that the 2%?
Yeah, she's the 2%. She doesn't even listen to the podcast. She just records sometimes.
I know, I know.
But okay, so where the hell were
so
we with these
so
people?
she's holding,
the picture.
Because she's holding her picture like this. This is how she's looking at the picture.
Yes, she's holding
what
the
is
picture
that?
up.
Nothing. It's not. It's nothing.
Exactly. She's
like
holding
that.
the picture, and then Rebecca snatches that picture. Well, first Gwen
out loud.
Gwen very pointedly Gwen very pointedly accuses Theresa of, like you said, sending Ethan out to his death in the middle of a ferocious hurricane. She's so annoying. But yes, then they question her about this picture or whatever she's holding. Whitney tells Rebecca to back off. I love Whitney. Whitney tells Rebecca to back off. She says it's Theresa's property and she doesn't have to show you anything. Right. And then there's some back and forth about the storm and Sheridan. And Gwen says, Sheridan is my best friend, but I wouldn't put the life of the man I love at risk for her. That's a weird thing to say. It's just such a weird thing to say.
The best ride or die bitch. Like Whitney is here next to Theresa fighting for her, even though she thinks Theresa's wrong, is fighting these two crazy rich white bitches.
It's so good.
It's so good. And she's like, and if I ever see you trying to take anything from her.
Let's get to it. So what happens is Theresa gets away from them long enough to put the picture back into the envelope. And then she comes back into like this conversation. She's holding the envelope. They're like going back and forth about the storm and yada, yada, yada. Sheridan's my best friend, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. Then Rebecca notices that the envelope says wedding pictures. And that's when Gwen is like, don't tell me the two of you got married. And Rebecca snatches that envelope right out of Theresa's hand, which, listen, this is how you know this is television, because frankly, that is an act of aggression, and you're about to get an act of aggression right back.
Correct.
You don't get to just snatch stuff out of my hand, and and you think I'm gonna just stand here? At the very least, I'm gonna come at you and pull it back from you and walk away from you. The fact that, and that's another thing for me, just who I am personally. Anytime I see Rebecca and Gwen coming, I'm walking away. I'm walking the other way. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have a conversation with you about what? What do we have to talk about?
They're Nothing. Here. Let's go. Let's go over here. Let's go.
Leave. Right. Like, I don't want to talk to you. And if you decide to step to me every single time, I'm going to fucking clear you. Every time. Do not come and talk to me if you do not want your feelings hurt. Every single time. It's on site. If it were me, if I was Theresa or Whitney. No. Right. And Whitney does get there this time. So we go back and forth with this picture. We go back and forth. Julian hears them kind of arguing, and Bruce kind of gets him to go over, and because he's like, what if these two women, Rebecca finds out that you married Theresa? Like, you're going to be stuck on this island with her.
At first, Julian's like, it's fine. She's going to find out eventually. Whatevs.
Exactly. But then Bruce is like, but you can't get off this island. You can't just leave.
You're right. Now
you're stuck on this island with her.
For like a day or two.
So Julian goes over and says, like, Rebecca, give the pictures back. Da, 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 da. After a while, Whitney just gets fucking fed up. And Whitney, let's see. Let me get to it because I'm skipping some stuff. Here we go. So Whitney just gets fed up, and she finally just snatches the envelope back. And Rebecca goes, rude. And Whitney says, rude? take a look in a mirror. And then Gwen starts to give some attitude. She's like, how dare you talk to my mother like that? And Whitney says, shut up, Gwen, before I shut you up. That's what, oh my God, before I shut you up. And then she says, I am tired of you two rich bitches. Ooh, girl.
I was
Does your mother know you talk like that? She said, I am tired of you two rich bitches attacking Theresa all the time just because you have money. You think you can treat people like third world citizens. I didn't agree with the third world citizen stuff.
correct.
But
Right. But I felt the vibe. I'm not gonna.
right? I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it.
She says, just because you have money, you think you can treat people like third world citizens. This is her property and it's her business, not yours. And then she goes on to say, y'all, Whitney was not done. She says, and another thing, if I ever see you two give Theresa a hard time about Ethan or anything else, I will personally make sure you two dogs ride out this hurricane tied to a tree on the motherfucking beach. Now, she didn't say motherfucking, but that was the vibe. She said, I will make sure you two dogs ride out this hurricane on the fucking beach. Play with me.
Tied to a tree. Tied to a tree. Now, I don't love that she would make a dog tied to a tree and leave her in the hurricane. I don't love that. I don't love that she would.
Yeah, but like there was. I mean, it has a few little problems, but you know what?
But overall, you know what? This is the Whitney I need. This is the Whitney I need.
And maybe they're maybe they're rabbit dogs, and what can you do?
Sure. Okay. Fine. Right.
So
I loved it so much. It was the first time I was like, this. I want this version of her.
Oh, all the time.
All the time. All the time.
This show needs someone who does that.
Because you know who does that, but in all the wrong ways is Simone. Now, this Simone, not first Simone. Yeah. This Simone does it all the time, but like to Whitney, like it's not aimed at actual villains. It's like if Simone could channel it.
Yeah.
I love it. I loved it so much. Whitney was, I need it all the time.
Yeah. So,
because it shut them down. They were speechless. They could do nothing.
They were speechless. So she took the shit, and then the two of them triumphantly leave. They walk away. She's like, "Come on, Theresa," and they walk away, which is what they should have done in the first place. Like I said, see, this is where I would have started when Gwen and Rebecca walked over to me. I immediately would walk away from them, or the minute she has something to say to me, I'm starting with, I'm going to tie you up to a tree, bitch, on the beach if you keep talking to me. That's where we start with Rebecca and Gwen. That is the beginning. Okay. So anyway, meanwhile, during like the thing with the wedding pictures and everything, we do a lot of back and forth before Theresa and Whitney walk off. But during all of that, Rebecca starts getting more and more suspicious about what may have been going on between Julian and Theresa. And so then she decides that she's going to go and talk to the Justice of the Peace because she had seen the Justice of the Peace talking to Theresa when she arrived. So,
but like her putting the pieces together is maddening because she's like, there's something up with Julian and Theresa and that Justice of the Peace and those wedding photos, and that car that says "just married." Congratulations, Julian and Theresa. She's thing is, she doesn't even hear her saying it.
I do believe that Rebecca, the way they write her, is one of the smartest characters on the show.
She is.
And I do believe and I also believe because she is so devious and has such a devious mind, she's constantly thinking like that. She's always thinking of all the possibilities that could be happening. And so her figuring it out, I wasn't too bothered by it.
I was fine with it, but like she didn't just say like they got married. She was like, they're both wearing rings and they both and there's this wedding cake that says she just all the elements were there and she was like,
yeah. And it's interesting because she did decide to go talk to the Justice of the Peace, which if you don't think that they got married or a marriage happened, because they also have been told by Bruce randomly in that whole back and forth that Theresa and Ethan didn't get married last night. Bruce like
Right.
said that. So she knows that Theresa didn't get married to Ethan. But yeah, she was given some like wedding pictures. So I understand that she has some inkling of what's going
I
on.
get
But
it.
I don't
Just
think
like put the
but
pieces together.
I don't think she ever would come to the conclusion that these two people got married.
That these two people got married because she loves Ethan so much. Okay, because it is outrageous.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, it's outrageous because she loves Ethan so much. And I don't think that Rebecca believes that Julian would ever marry Theresa. Fuck
Right.
her, sure.
Sure.
Marry her seems like a stretch, right?
In fact, I think Gwen even says, like, he's probably annoyed because he came here to, like, basically, like, fuck a young bitch and you're messing it up for him. She's like, yeah, you're probably right. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway.
So she goes off to try to talk to the justice of the peace, but then all the action stops and the air is sucked out of this room when I guess I'm going to call him a Coast Guard guy. I don't know who he was.
He calls him, Theresa calls him Captain later, so I guess we'll just call him Captain. I don't know.
He comes in and makes the announcement that the rescue ship that the guys were on has gone down and all were lost. Like
everyone is
there's
dead.
No survivors. There are no survivors.
He announces this to everybody.
So yeah, to the entire lobby.
To the whole lot. That's how you say everyone. Just an update. The boat went down and everyone is dead.
Right. It's like you should talk to the people whose family members were on there first.
Right. It's so it's and also you don't have body. You don't know that they're dead. You just whatever.
Of course, Teresa's like, no, this cannot be. We have to pray for them. I won't believe it until like I see their bodies.
Well, she's hysterical for a long time. She's screaming, no, they can't be.
Listen, let me be clear. Separating out the fact that this is like a soap opera and it's like Teresa's like wild.
Always at 11.
We have to remember and think about this on human terms too. The people on that boat are her brother and her fiance. Like she just lost, and what's that guy's? Luis is basically her father figure, right? So to her, she just lost her father figure, her brother, the love of her life. Not to mention her best friend's like love too, right? Sure. So they're about to like go through this like really intense grief. These people are, and not only are they dead, they just suffered a horrific fate, like a horrific fate. I would be inconsol. I know I would be. I know I'd be.
Well, I just don't know that you would be yelling at the person who told you. Or, I mean, if anything, you'd like, or maybe you would. Maybe you would. Maybe be like, how dare you tell me that until you have a body? Why would you freak me out like that? You know, like go back out there and look at him. All right.
You would. You would. The grief is a hell of a thing.
It's a hell of a drug.
Grief is a hell of a thing. And so, you know, I think the hysterics at this point make more sense than they did before.
No, they make sense. I just don't like it. I just don't like it.
I think it's easier too for us to be like, Theresa, because we know that they're not dead and they're not going to die.
And she's always at an 11.
Yeah, we know that they're not dead. Right. They're not gonna die. And so it is easier for us to be like, oh, Theresa. But we have to remember for Theresa in her reality right now, someone is telling her that two of the people that she loves most in the entire world are dead and lost at sea. So yes, then Gwen goes to Julian and begs him to like send out a search party. And then she's like, why do you want them dead? She like questions him like,
why do you want Ethan to be dead?
Yeah, and I don't know. And then we just skip over that. Because she goes right back to Rebecca and they both decide that Julian is acting strange. Because Julian says the same thing that he said to Ethan before Ethan went out on that boat, which is, I've already lost my sister. Why would we sacrifice more lives to try and find them? Like, they're gone. We're not going to send more. And that's correct. You're not going to send more people out.
But that's not Julian. But
Julian, yeah, actually, it kind of is, because Julian doesn't care about the people out there. So why would he even bother to send anybody?
No, he doesn't. Right. But if he cared about, like, if he actually like if it was Ethan, his son,
if it was him, let's be clear. If it was him, he would be like, you send some people out here now to get me, right? Like if it was him. I don't know anybody else in this show that he would bother.
I wonder
sacrificing
if he would
people for.
if he would do that for Alistair, or if he would be like, now's my chance.
Absolutely not. Are you kidding?
He would be like, I'm free of him.
Exactly. Yeah. No, he wants his dad dead. Like, listen, if Alistair dies, Julian gets everything. Everything.
Yeah, it's true.
If Alistair shoot. Hell, I'm rooting for Alistair to die so Julian gets everything at this point. No, he would definitely not go trying to save Alistair. Now, Alistair might call him and be like, you must send someone to save me.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because the risk, if he survives and he knows that Julian didn't send anyone to save him, like that's scarier.
Yeah. So, I mean, Julian might do the thing that he did with Basil, which is like, go search for my father, but make sure you don't find him. Mm-hmm. You know?
That's true. Okay.
So, anyway, whatever. Eventually, Rebecca goes and talks to that Justice again. She's using her feminine wiles on him.
Massaging him.
She's trying to pump information on Theresa. And in these episodes, he doesn't give her any real information. He just says, like, the whole situation was very strange. And, but then she brings up Julian, and he's like, I don't really want to talk about Julian. He owns the whole resort. He might shut me down. But she just continues to pump him for information. We don't get any resolution with this. That's where we end it with them this week. And then meanwhile, Julian is like, again, trying to ingratiate himself with Theresa, trying to, quote, comfort her. And he does say to her, Ethan's not coming back. There's really no reason for us not to stay married. He says that to her. And she looks at him and she's like, I could never love you. I could never love you. And then this man says, and I quote, oh, well, first he says, some of the best marriages are arranged marriages where people learn to love each other. And then he says, I could learn to love margaritas and guacamole and excessively bright colors and mariachi bands. We could turn the Crane Mansion into a one big fiesta. And that's this girl was mortified. She was at a loss for words. And finally, she just looks at him and says, Mr. Crane, please let me know if you hear any information on Ethan, Luis, or Chad. And she and Whitney walk away. And then
I like that he told Whitney to get. Remember, he told Whitney to. Whitney was still fired up from like shooting down the rich bitches.
Yeah,
and he's like Whitney, dear, why don't you go get Theresa something warm to drink, hot to drink? She feels a little cold. And she's like, I'm not leaving you alone with her. Mm-hmm. Why don't you get her something warm to drink?
Yeah. And then Theresa was the one who was like, Whitney, it's okay.
I would not. I like Whitney. I feel like Whitney should have been like, no, it's not okay. I'm not leaving. Is really like that. Because she was already past the threshold.
Yeah.
Like clearly this girl makes bad decisions. Do not leave her alone.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, that's really where we leave it this week. Mm-hmm. Julian is plotting something. We're not sure what it is. He like whispers something to a bellboy who tells him, I can't do that. And Julian says,
have your job.
You'll do it or I'll have your job. So he's plotting something, because then he says to Bruce that he's gonna relive his honeymoon, but he'll remember it this time. And then he says, tonight Theresa will be my wife in every way. So that's the end. You have anything to add?
No, I don't think so. I think we really covered all of it.
Yeah, but that's it for today, everybody. We did it. You can always catch me on all the social media. Send me an email. Check the link in the description for the Patreon, for everything. Lisa, you want people to follow you anywhere?
No, nope. I'm not. I'm going to be disappointing.
All right. So with that, You are my passion for life.